Hello everyone, we are here with day number 3 of Super Week, and I know I am very excited for what is ahead. We are now halfway through with the opening 2 days, having some fairly thrilling yet very entertaining matches that we got to watch throughout the entirety. But to kick off today's matchups, my name is Orbital, with me is SuperBren, and we will be covering the first match of the day. SuperBren, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good. I love a good CBLOL packed weekend, and the extended weekend has given me something to look forward to. You know, it's not just, oh man, I got to go to work on Monday. I also at least will get to watch some CBLOL at the end of the day. But for today's matchups, we've got, I think, what might be one of the more important ones of the weekend coming up, because, you know, at least one of these teams really has something to prove.
Yeah, I really do feel like Loud is a team that we got to watch for here. Currently third place in the rankings, I believe, 4 and 3, a little bit, you know, off kilter in there, a little bit back and forth, but having the ability to reach higher. But for VKS, obviously having that reach already very, very strong in their opening matchup, being very, very powerful in terms of, hey, we have those wins available to us. We need to keep the ball rolling as well. It looks like they're actually deep into the draft already. You know the players, you've seen them throughout the entirety of the week. So let's go ahead and give it their best. Loud over on that blue side to start things off, getting first pick as well. So we will have a standard draft.
Yep, and speaking of standard draft, it's lots of standard bans to follow as well. One side bans out the Shen, so the other side bans out the Camille.
Yeah.
We have no more Lee Sin, no more Nocturne, no more Xin Zhao, and Cassiopeia, the final one to fall. You know, very popular in the current meta. I wonder what Loud is going to lock in first. We've seen them, you know, play around a variety of their different members, both Shino and Kaze, obviously, very powerful carries in their own right. Rebello, generally fairly consistent in the bot lane, but they opt to lock in jungle first with a Vi for Sinatra.
Yeah, I mean, Shino, Kaze, Rebello, and Uzan, all these players on the Loud side, they have something to prove, I think, for themselves. They'll be trying their best to really work their way up to the upper echelons and keep their top 4 standing. Over on the side of VKS, though, we've seen Zekas as well as the Samus and Miru, everyone on the squad really have the shining moments. They have struggled a lot more 2-1s versus Los Grandes, but either way, they've done a fantastic job, I think. And for Jessica, holding on to this Ezreal, having the early safety, and then revitalizing with the Wukong as well, it provides a very simplistic jungle route with a Vi Wukong matchup with the safeguard, and forcing Loud to have to consider diving further if you're going to reach this Ezreal.
Yeah, they're going to have to really commit if they want to get after Jessica's Ezreal. And I think we saw, I believe it was in the last matchup the VKS played on Friday, that Jessica's Ezreal is quite good. You know, I think there's been a lot of questions about Jessica in particular. I think everyone else that has been picked up for VKS for this split has kind of so far looked good, but Jessica was a question mark, and he looked good on the Ezreal. But now he's going to have to contend with Rebello and Usent on Lucian Milio in the bot lane, a popular combo from earlier this year. Are they, you know, trying to bring it back? Marksman back in the meta, question mark? No mages around here.
Yeah, I mean, for Rebello, so far, 3.2 KDA throughout all their matches has been the second highest on the team. Shino only eclipsing that by a 4.3. And it shows. I mean, you are willing to go pretty ham, but this entire composition from Loud so far is extremely aggressive, which is why I am worried for them, because VKS have done a fantastic job of kind of neutralizing that, grabbing an enchanter with them. Karma, one of the ultimate deniers of heavy poke, and then poking right back. It is a scary feat to deal with, and if this Lucian Milio do not get off the ground, it does mean you're kind of stuck in this position of, okay, we will get run around the map so quickly. We saw the hover of the Ahri earlier. VKS, you know, it might be a bait, but the Ahri and Vi combination is still very scary.
Yeah, the Vi Ahri combination, like you said, that jungle mid kind of combination is super classic. I mean, it's become very well known at this point, so denying that is very good. But also, Ahri kind of is a bit of a playmaker at the current moment, more so than she is like a full-on, you know, DPS carry. She's designed to create plays, and that's something that Kaze is very good at. So, you know, a bit of double value when you're denying it from Kaze. We see the Jace is the next to be denied. Interesting. I wonder what that says about Loud's top matchup, if they just really don't want Zekas to play Jace, or if maybe they have something in particular in mind for that top side.
It's only going to be up to them. The Akali has the final ban here. Okay, still targeted towards that mid lane. Kaze rolling in. And what's the last here? I mean, we've seen things like the Renekton be a very beefcake in the top side, but you do want a little bit. Okay, well, you know what? I called it. I'll take it very much. You don't want to deal with the Renekton? Makes sense. Ban it away. It will be cussed out here. For VKS, though, they were the ones that were possibly thinking about it as that benefit for themselves. And that finale, what do you wish to blind pick? That is the rough side here. Do you want to take that mid or do you want to take that top? I do feel like top side is going to be that main focus here. What is the final moment, Zekas? What do you wish to run? Or in the mid lane, it has fallen so low. I forgot about this champion. Locke being drafted at R4 is crazy.
Maybe the teams forgot about it as well. He hasn't fared the brightest in the CBLOL, but we have seen him internationally just absolute demon pick this Locke guy, and pun fully intended there, as the Ashen Exorcist can absolutely exercise anyone off the map. Well, imagine that will be in Miryu's hands. Miryu versus Kaze, has always been one of the mid lane matchups to look forward to. And I wonder if they are just going to put Kaze, who is their big playmaking guy. Are you going to put him on something like a Galio? They are, but that does give them a very positive matchup into the my brain turned off. I just talked about him. Oh no. The new guy. Yeah. That guy.
The new guy. The new guy on the block. Listen, that's all we say in there.
Locke.
Locke. Yeah, there we go. Locke being an absolute annoyance in there, but there's that R5 that I was talking about getting pushed to the top side. Zekas is going to go ahead and get that brutalization champion. We've seen Olaf be a very nice counter to a lot of these engaged top laners, a lot of these champions that have a little bit of CC built into their kit, and it's the OG run and down style. So I like what VKS are doing.
Yeah, I think the thing that I come back to is you said that Loud have a very aggressive comp, and Bessa doubles down on that. They have lots of ways to just go in and force a fight, but VKS have a comp that overall can just not do that if they don't want to. Ezreal and Locke are both exceptionally slippery, and in terms of a burst of shielding, there's probably no better champion in the game to just survive an initial engage than having a Karma on your team. So I wonder which style we're gonna have to play out. I think the burden of execution comes down onto Loud of they need to play a better game than VKS does.
Not only that, but I do feel like their composition does have a slightly higher ceiling with them, with the execution. We know when Mbessa can really take over a game if given the right opportunity. Not only that, sniping Ezreal in the backline could be a huge win for them. You follow through with the likes of the Vi and then the Lucian Milio. If you can get a big dub on that bot side of the map, you don't even have to worry about the Ezreal. For the side of VKS, though, they're sitting there like, we're going to play our game, we're going to be real smooth with it, and we're going to take the dub. So we are moving in to this game number 1. You can see the fans in the crowd. Everyone, maybe, the energy, the endurance race of the Super Week is even getting to the fans, but the energy gets hype when we dive into the series itself. Let's go ahead and watch it all go down. We are on to the Rift for game 1.
As we get into the Rift, I'm kind of interested to see where our attention is early on here for the Vi. Specifically, Sinatra is going to have to pass kind of intentionally. He can't be everywhere at once, and Tisamis has the ability to gank almost just as easily as the Vi does. At least once he has that level 3, that E online, he can get it. The W and the E allows him to gap close pretty quickly. So Sinatra needs to make use of these early levels the best he can. And while, he has an aggressive bot lane, maybe he could try to pair up with them. The opposing bot lane also is pretty anti-gank. So I wonder where he pays that attention in that first rotation.
It might just be to the enemy side jungle, as Tisamis getting a very cheeky early invade off, but immediately spotted on a ward. Well spotted by Rebella and Uzant. or Sinatra, you might be looking at an engagement in that field as Kaze was in a weird little bug there, fully invisible. I don't think that's allowed, but will be a meeting of the minds. Fist versus the Wukong. Let's see which comes out on top. Kaze with a great knock into Miru. Both of them trading out on the DPS factors, but a nice sneak away. I think it'll work though, as Sinatra was able to keep the red, putting Desamas behind.
Yeah, he's able to come over, deny that initial take of the buff, which is, like you said, going to put Desamas fairly far behind, has to kind of limp back over to his side of the jungle and now try and clear bottom to top. Now, if there's no counter invade at any point, Desamas can still come out all right, all things considered, but is going to be a little weaker, at least for the moment. Those nails getting in, Kaze having to play very far back. And in the bot side is now Scamber caught out a little bit out in no man's land. That's a lot of health he's going to lose pretty early on, but they're able to trade back, use it in turn, also taking quite a bit of damage.
Oh, what a dance underneath the tower, though. Kaze dies just before the first blood. So Miru will collect an extra amount of gold, but cheeky between the two mid laners.
And this is exactly what we want out of this mid lane matchup. They're so even. When both of them are on their day, they are so evenly matched. We'll get to see exactly what happens here. Yeah, Sinatra just comes up, spots Desamas because of the ward, is able to Q in and get the smite down. And Mirio here gets 3 nails in and decides to go forward, does get the burst down, gets the ignite off, and the ignite ticks. I mean, it must have been frames faster than the tower shot. So Mirio, like you said, comes out 100 gold the better. And with the tower, eating some of those minions, I think Mirio's, despite using both of his sums, is actually pretty happy with the trade.
Yeah, I mean, you get the gold and for an assassin, getting that early kill, I think is going to be real happy. I think we got a nice little wave, by the way, to more of the analysts and a little bit of information coming in. By the way, I love the Gen G plush in the background. That thing is so much fun to play with. I love that so much.
I have liked all the things that they've added to the broadcast. I know people in chat were very excited for Buskoon. As it has been called now, and will forever be called in my heart.
It's a little bit too real in there, gotta agree. So, Sinatra rolling on in, though, is going to be hovering around with maybe half a camp up on Desamas, but I am curious to see if that will continue with a 1-1 in the mid lane. A lot of VKS still have a lot of room to wiggle, and we mentioned before, for Loud, we want to see really good execution. We want to see good levels of play here from them as moving into that mid to late, you're going to have to catch a lot of opponents out. Desamas maybe wandering around on the Kaze, but it's not really being given their way.
Yeah, they're not really, like you said, not really having the opportunity to get what they want out of the constant, he's roaming back and forth, trying to get invades, trying to find a gank angle, but it's just not been given to him. And, I feel like the pressure is a little bit less on Desamas to get those early plays made. As the Wukong, you will still have a lot of playmaking value with your ultimate later on, but you are a similar style of jungler to the Vi, where you do want to get some early plays in and get a bit of a snowball ahead. So we're going to see how that plays out moving forward.
I mean, Kaze throwing down some damage against Miru. By the way, I love the heavy investment into the ward pathing from both squads. Keep in mind, every time Miru tries to get a ward down somewhere in enemy territory, you saw that Kaze was more than willing to drop a full pink ward into enemy side just to make sure Miru doesn't get full coverage. And to make sure that as we watch Sinatra move around the map, you're not fully cut out from that kind of jungle v jungle matchup. However, in the mid lane, we are seeing some aggression, but bot side is where our eyes are turned to. So to be a little bit of shell as the Hearth is brought on out, but Miru out of mana in the mid, drops Kaze down to about 25% or 50%, if you will. So far, everyone's almost limit testing here in the early game. No one's made that big swing yet.
Yeah, we had only really one true swing, and it ended up being like a scene like in an anime. Both people swing their right hand at the same time, and they both punch each other in the face and fall down. Like, that's what we got out of the mid lane, and then after that, everyone's like, maybe I don't want to fight. We are seeing some advantages, though, being taken nonetheless in the top lane, where we haven't paid the most attention. Shino is building a small lead over Zekas. And in the bot lane, the trades do seem to be favoring, as you might expect, that Lucian and Milio combination. They're able to keep Jeskla and Scamber from getting, any particular foothold. But I think, honestly, if you don't put them behind, just trading strongly but not actually taking away any resources isn't very good for this Loud bot side. You have such an aggressive early game, and your mid game fights will be potent. But I think there is something to be said about just how oppressive Ezreal and Karma both become at about 2 items when they're that firmly in the mid game. They become so good at team fights in particular.
Yeah, they become so difficult to track. They become that monster that you just have to kind of watch flit around the battlefield. It's one that I'm very excited for. But Shino run down a little bit, got the damage on Zekas, but I mean, for Shino, you're just kind of chilling. You dodged everything. You got your damage trade out, and you're more than happy about the current adjustment. Using going to walk across a couple wards here, massive warding out. Again, this is VKS
It's a lot of
are
wards.
strongly trying. Like, this is a heavy investment on the pink wards, on the regular wards. By the way, that pink ward, I think Miru put down in the top side mid, or the bot side of River in the mid, has stayed strong for like 3 or 4 minutes now.
Yeah, which is exceptional value. It is 75 gold, which doesn't seem like a lot, but ask any support player, it will add up over the course of the game if you buy, more than you need to. Placing those control wards and letting them just accrue passive value is very good, right? He knows not only is there no one in that brush, is he not getting ganked from that side, but he also is actively denying vision from that area, which means if Disamus wants to bring in a gank from that side, he knows he will not be spotted on a ward. But this side, this is how slippery Miryu is.
Yes, it is. And with the team coming in, it helps out. Supports have joined on in, but Sinatra will go down so quickly because of the collapse coming in. And VKS, a perfect reactionary response to that gank.
Yeah, hard to pick up the Miryu did not pick up his little Ashen Exorcist jug. It does stick around for a while, so he will probably pick it back up. Or no, he's going to the bot lane. Picking those up is important, actually. If you don't pick it up, you do not get the stacking, cooldown reduction, and execute threshold on your ultimate. So a bit of a misstep there. Maybe just not as familiar with the champion. Did not know he needed to pick it up, but regardless, does use the slipperiness of the champion, the ability to kind of get away, to buy a lot of time. Knew the gank was coming because of those wards that VKS have been investing, that you've called out multiple times, had the vision to see the Vi coming in. As we'll get a replay of how it started. You can see he's backing up and uses the blink to just try and get out as fast as possible, buys as much time, and allows the Wukong to get in, counter with the ultimate. Yeah, it is the execute that does kill Vi, so surprised he didn't pick up that urn.
Oh. There we go. If you wish to pick it up, you can. Thankfully, it stays for a very, very long time. Miru is able to collect. But I will also say, you have to get credit over to Disamus. Wukong has been a highly contested champion lately. A lot of people saying maybe the value isn't really there, but when you get double Cyclone like that, Sinatra was very much surprised, I think, about how much damage actually came down from this combo. So for Sinatra, who so far has actually done very well in the camp clear, went ahead, cleared out, is about 2 camps ahead in the current position, is looking to try and get more aggressive statuses down. For Loud, we talked about the execution, and that is one faltering moment. What I do not want to see right now is for Loud, with Dragon coming up in a second Dragon of the game, I really don't want to see Loud shut down on a composition that requires you to be very proactive and call the shots and to really make the fights happen in your favor.
Yeah, so far, I mean, it's been a very close game, both in the scoreline, in the gold, around the map. No massive advantage in any one position, but Miryu does have both kills for VKS. You talked about getting assassins ahead early, and you'd want Loud to be proactive. Just because they're not behind does, they feel like they should be ahead, and they're trying to finally make a play. How is he still alive?
No,
Zekas,
they gave up. They gave up midway through the battle. Now they're able to change it back, but that was so much time burned. That could have gone disastrously, but I feel for Loud, they were bailed out by how much of VKS was on the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, no one on VKS there to respond just, but they are going to get a dragon for it, and they are going to get a lot of pressure in this bot side of the map because they know how many people are up at the top. And again, yes, it's like relatively even. It's not disastrous for Loud, but you talked about it that you want to see them be proactive in a comp like this, and they need to be trying to get themselves ahead, trying to make things happen. And if it stays even the later this game goes, I do start to favor VKS more and more.
I would agree. I mean, VKS, their reactions are good, but the pacing that they're putting in and where their focus is feels so much further into the game than Loud. Loud, that topside play almost felt like it felt like one of the plays that you would see in a desperation mode, where you see a team already stuck in that position of we're behind, we have to make a topside play, and we really had to commit whether it happens or not. Now, I give them credit. They stalled out middle of that fight, and they still came away with a 1-0 without losing a single member. I give them a lot of credit for it. This is the problem, though. It's a whole different story. Rebello on the bot side getting fully chewed through with the nails, and that's just a pop and a half. Yuzan even tried to heal and couldn't get it, and now Yuzan is on the run. Miru already scaling, and we now see why Locke has nearly a 90% plus ban or pick rate.
Yeah, this champion is really, really, really strong when it gets going. And it is now fully going. 3 kills to the good for Miryu. And this is the Miryu we love to see. I feel like the league is a better place when we have these top mid laners making plays like this. And yeah, with the Proto Belt, with those boots, he's not afraid to go forward, and he has the tools to do so. Now has 4 stacks on his Dark Steel. This is a very, very dangerous guy. And in the side lanes, not even just the team fights where he'll have the support, but if he finds you in a 1v1, you have to be a little bit scared.
Yeah, you got to be worried about your HP bar. You got to be worried about this pure just kill threat that they got. And I know for VKS, they're going to start rotating that kill threat around the map. Keep in mind, it's so far been answered. I believe Miru has been kind of put into the field with Kaze consistently. But we are going to see VKS start calling his shots. We're going to start seeing Miru be utilized as a rotational value, push out a lane, immediately go gank somewhere else. And it's going to work, in my opinion, I should say. In others, though, for Loud, you're still going to get a lot of that magic, because we get a replay of this, by the way.
You just look at the burst, gets the execute down, and immediately just starts going to work with that, you know, with the Q. Getting the nails down allows you to do such massive chunks of damage at once. Are they going to try and are they going to get it? Zekas does cancel the recall here. No one on this side of the map once again.
I mean, it's just Sinatra looking for a snipe, and look how long he survived, though, once more. Zeka's getting all the pressure, though. For VKS, they're happy kind of about this. They're getting so many plates around the map. I think that's kind of offsetting. Even with those kills, it's still 700 gold in the lead on another end of the map. But what you are saying is maybe I can give leads over to Shino. Shino's able to capitalize on it. Jeskla, though, I don't think you like to be here. Good tower taken by Shino and able throughout the rest of the battlefield. For Loud, that's their win con now.
Yep, they are able to use the repeated ganks top to get some pressure going, able to then take that first tower, and it means that there's actually a pretty big lead, like you said, for Shino without really having any kills, but he is 30 farm up as well as that tower gold. But Shino is, not necessarily going to be a guaranteed win condition. He does have options. He will be very strong if he hits in engage and can get in there. And Fed Ambessa can be really, really tough to deal with, as that she does get lifesteal applied to her abilities because of the passive on her ultimate. So she is pretty tough to remove once she gets up in your face. But again, it's a burden of execution. Difficult to remove, yes, but also difficult to bring the full value out of. Where I feel like the side of EKS have it a little bit more straightforward, but Loud are doing their best to keep this game very even.
for Loud. They're doing what they can, as you stated, but even is not where they want to be. They want to be ahead with the current position. A swap of the top laners down to the bot side. Herald currently available, but Dragon, Ocean, of all things to be played for, this is not a Dragon that you want to give up. So I expect both teams to float down towards the bot side. Sinatra, though, going into that middle ground. Big ultimate to come on in as well. Justice, heroic entrance will lead to a kill, as Loud pull off a nasty mid lane drop.
Yeah, they're able to get a pick. Yes, it's onto the support, but look at the death timer, 20 seconds. They're immediately going to try and turn the pressure, but Miryu going to try and answer one back. This is a dangerous position.
I like it, but it is going to be a snipe, and you called it. It is far too dangerous. Kill on the back end, and it is so comfortable for their name. Well done to Loud, who have so far pulled off 3 kills in a row.
Yeah, they're able to just go ahead and, just find a play. And this is what we want from this Loud composition, right? If you're going to play a composition like this, that is going to be, a very aggressive in-your-face composition, you need to find the plays yourself. The plays are not going to come to you. A good teleport in from Shino uses his ultimate to catch out Miryu, who overstepped a little bit. Now, I do think VKS is going to answer this back. This will be their second Dragon of the game, the Ocean Soul. Not necessarily a huge win condition. I feel like a lot of these fights are going to be decided very fast, very aggressively. You're either alive or dead. It's going to be pretty binary rather than having, poking people out and slowly whittling each other down. But it never hurts to have those extra stats. We'll see as they kind of duel here on the bottom side of the map where the teams are looking to go next. We do have a couple of towers down, a bit of a congregation in the mid lane. As you can see, multiple members of Loud here, and the ultimate's coming through.
Poor Jeskla. Jeskla has been constantly bullied here in the mid lane, and it makes sense. I mean, you are an ADC, you are left alone, you are meant to play safe. However, with Herald drop, it'll take one more plate for itself before faltering, but Samus wanted a little bit more action in that mix. Rest of the team for VKS roaming towards that mid lane, but again, it's just a wave clear and give Jeskla a good recall pattern here.
Yeah, and it is a good time for him to recall. He's got to have a decent amount of gold in the pocket, and he has fully stacked his tier, so that will be a good item to get. If you, speak Portuguese, if you happen to watch a Portuguese broadcast, I believe that they show the comms here for Loud, and you can see a lot there. I believe that is Rebello being very active and vocal, and Kaze as well, communicating to their team how they want to play out this fight. So a good fight, well executed there from Loud. They're going to continue to try and use that pressure. They now have the gold lead. They have a 1K gold lead because of their efforts, and they're going to see if they can snowball that a little further.
I think they can do a lot of work here. This is well within range for being a little bit of a bully, being annoying. At the end of the day, I just want to see Loud have a lot more fun in this one. The composition, as we said, high skill ceiling, but very well worn, as well as Mir is able to side dodge, and Zeno now realizes they're in a rough spot. Rest of the team coming on down, but they do reach to Samus very early. Zeka's able to cut off Shino, and Shino has to run straight towards that Tribrush Cyclone, though, and also a spot on the far end. Heroic entrance is going to knock up 0 people. And a 5v5 meeting on the bot side will lead with just bruised egos and bruised HP bars.
Yeah, no one ultimately caught out. A good hero's entrance, despite the not actually catching anyone, immediately dissuaded VKS from continuing any further. And perhaps maybe if he had let them come in a little further and then launched in the entrance, they could have gotten a pick. But there's also the risk that if they get started, if they pick up 1 kill and they then start to get through and cut through your team. So uses it early, dissuades VKS from pushing any further. A lot of resources used, but with nothing up really on the map to take, I don't think anyone's going to be missing any of those resources in particular. Still 2 minutes before the Dragon, and neither of these teams has the resources to take a Baron at 20.
Yeah, you are... I would be surprised if they were able to. I'd love the attempt watching them go down, just like, we'll get about a quarter of the way through, and then everyone's just like, nah, we're not going to do that.
Hold on, this is a bad idea.
Yeah, this is not great. Very nice true shot barrage, though. We're starting to see the stack from Jessica start to actually kind of gain some benefits here. Rebello and Yuzin are not exactly the tankiest members. For Sinatra, though, you see Sinatra winning off in the wings. Doesn't really have a ward on where Samus is, but this leap over the wall could be very, very dangerous. Good spot in both ways as the Samus clones over Sinatra. Recognize that they were getting pinched here and quickly diverts out of town. But again, the posturing, leading everyone onto the wayside. But there they go. TP's utilized once more, but it's likely to hold him steady here. VKS might actually have a very good answer. This Samus baits in the Gallia ultimate, but is now completely sectioned away. There ain't no way for VKS to hold on. And Zekas arrives so late, pops the Ragnarok, jumps over the wall, but gets flashed away from. So that will go clean to waste. And that's the call from Loud. The teams are running rampant, as right now Loud has VKS's number.
Yeah, a really poorly executed fight, in my opinion, from VKS. Loud stuck together, played that fight pretty cleanly, did not really give an opportunity for VKS to never mind. Jessica just is going, he does not care. He says, hey, you guys are all too low. Hello? He's insane with it. This Jessica guy, my goodness, picks up 2 where there should have been none and really kind of pours some water on Loud's fire that they had started there with that play. I was just going to give credit to Loud for playing that very safely and baiting VKS into bad positions. But then immediately they give 2 back over to this Ezreal, and he is now massively ahead. Look at the inventory. He's going to be closing in on 3 items. He's about 2.5 right now. And I think the Ezreal does more with the items than the Lelouch does.
There were levels of just almost frustration, it felt like, in that one, because Loud did so well. I hope we get a replay, because Loud did so well, patiently waiting out a lot of these big ticket ultimates, knowing Zekas was going to roam up, Ragnarok was popped, and they baited in a lot of these engages. And then it was almost like he tiptoed around the issue of an enemy ADC, and Jessica took full advantage. Ezreal is sneaky damage, not upfront, it's sneaky damage. And VKS, they got bailed out by that play. Ridiculous work from Jessica. I can only assume it's going to continue as Tasamas is ready for round number 2 and 3. Hides inside the brush. Sinatra recognizing that Tasamas is in the range, but no follow through as it's a 4v4 with a 1v1 on the side. Zekas, what's going on here? Are you going to be able to get away? Doesn't want to pop the ult just yet. But is able to stay safe. By the way, Dragon did go the way of VKS, so they're sitting on Soul Point.
Yeah, they do pick up the Dragon, and they're just trying to skirmish here.
I kind of like this. Sinatra actually caught out here. Heroic entrance is going to land, but it doesn't really knock anyone up. Well killed and well spotted. Loud losing their jungler.
Loud losing their jungler, and now at 24 minutes and no jungler on the enemy side, are VKS going to try and take this mid tower and turn it into a Baron here? I don't know if Loud are going to let them do that, but they might look for the dive. There could be a play to find. Good ward there from Loud across into the Raptors pit. They know what's going on, and they're able to clear the wave. They're getting their vision up to the top side. So VKS is only going to find the pick for now. Nothing more to come from it.
Yeah, I mean, with a jungler, you're not overly worried at when Baron is up, but no one's really able to take it, and Dragon's about 4 minutes off. What you are worried about is if you start losing towers for it, when you start losing some of these extra structures around the map, and that's what's going to be the problem. Here's one of that fight, though. We got to watch this again.
Yeah, let's take a look as it gets started, because Zekas runs in from the bot side after trying to say, hey, maybe on a flank angle we can find something to do. But Rebello continues to push forward. I think just doesn't realize how much damage Jessica is able to pump back and how healthy he's able to stay. I want to point that out because of the Omnivamp boots. He's really not taking any damage, and he's able to hunt you down. His dash is pretty dang good. The extra move speed from the Karma shielding as well, allowing him to just continue to go forward, and finds 2 on the back end. And the VKS coaches are very excited about that. And I it's Smiley's version of excited as he sits there and nods, and that's how you know he's pretty happy with what you did.
You know what? If that play didn't happen, I'm pretty sure he would have just been like, I'm going to yell at these players. I'm sorry. They lost a stupid fight. That's not a nod of, you guys did a good job. That's a nod of, you will get 30 seconds less of a yelling for what just went down, right? So it's not a good thing, but it's not a bad thing at the same time. It's Jessica actually arcane shifts forward because he got Mirror on the side and Samus in the wings. This is again pressure. This is now the third time VKS have been looking to try and pressure down this specific tower, and this time they will be given it at the end of the day. Sinatra, though, wrong spot, charges up the Vault Breaker and had to flash away to safety. Now that is a rough loss considering Dragon is up in just a minute 35.
Yeah, the flash is a huge take for them, but Mirror backing in a situation.
Yeah, I mean, I like the kill, do not get me wrong, but investment being made, and I guess Loud are saying this is our time, we're going to go straight for the Baron.
They go straight on to the Baron, they're going to try and bait VKS into this 4v5 fight without one of their most high DPS members. Mirror backing in a very odd spot, maybe didn't know, he was on a ward, but still very dangerous. Here's the turn. They pick one. Orbital, I think this is going to be a huge fight for Loud.
I mean, if they can find it, yes. Zekka's went way too far, and maybe that's a sacrificial lamb at the end of the day. For VKS, you just want to pull them off of this Baron and make sure they couldn't get it right away. I think they've gotten that line. 45 seconds now on Dragon. Loud are going straight back towards the Baron, though, and they're saying we can take this chance once more.
Yeah, well, the first time it baited VKS in for the fight, they got the 2 picks that they wanted, and Zekkas is still down for another 30 seconds. The Baron is not going to live that long. We're at 27 minutes now. Yes, they don't have a traditional, objective taker-style marksman, one of those late-game hyper carries like the Sivir or the Jinx. But guess what? At 27 minutes with this many items, Rebello will do just fine. Now has the Infinity Edge. It's a big spike to his damage. It's going to allow them to execute this more burst-oriented comp even faster. And you can see it's just Mirror just backing in a really odd spot and gets caught for it.
Yep, it's just... I mean, you're an assassin player. You kind of expect this to go down, and then this right here, it definitely felt like they recognized it was a rough call, and either way it's going to be tough. Now, as we mentioned, the Baron did go down very quickly. You can see in the live feed, Dragon was also taken by Loud. They're able to rotate in very, very cleanly, and now they have both the Dragon timer and Baron timers relatively in sync. It's going to be a nice play for them as they kind of scale back in this execution composition. They're fighting Jessica and Mira. As long as they continue to do this, they will control most of the battles.
Yeah, I think for me so far the takeaway is VKS have beat themselves a little bit here in this mid game where they should have been the strongest and started to take a bigger and bigger advantage. Some various sloppy mistakes have started to add up for the team, and Loud is a good enough team. They're gonna take advantage of it, right? You might be able to get away with that against maybe our bottom table teams, but Loud is no slouch, and they are able to punish pretty well as they find themselves, 1,600 gold up now on the Baron power play. Tower taken. Mirror trying to punish, trying to find something.
Yeah, maybe finding it here. Kaze, the tank of the team, is holding on pretty dang well, and with the blast going out to safety, you are good. Scammer might have stepped up a little bit too far, but no taunt to force them back, and Kaze gives a green thumbs up and says, I wish that was a little bit more blood in the water. So far, though, as he said, 1.4, 3.7 currently up for Loud as we're breaking into that 30-minute mark.
Yeah, and hats off to the members of Loud. I think, I talked about, hey, you're taking Kaze. He's one of your big, playmakers, one of your best guys, and you're putting him on a tank. Well, he has played it pretty wonderfully. Only one death so far has been consistently in the team fights. Speaking of team fights, he's the first to take a huge chunk of damage.
That's where you're really happy you optimize a little bit more into the tank factor instead of the damage factors. You have a Zanya's plus a Hollow Radiance and then the Imperial Mandate. You're like, I'm so glad I'm alive right now. Thank you guys very much. Walks away, gives space for the rest of the Loud to take the topside tower. It is now 6 towers to 3. You are so comfortably open with this. I want to say open base side, and Zekkas almost baited into this position, but a good read considering the Baron empowered minions are like, nobody left. That is a very good read.
Yeah, it recognizes, hey, maybe I shouldn't chase forward. It does just clear the wave and is going to keep himself safe for now. I like that you called out the Imperial Mandate on Kaze. I think with the changes to that item, it is now a 7% damage increase when you CC, and it's very easy for someone like a Galio to put that CC onto a number of enemies at once. It also lowers the cooldown of your CC ability, so that will be both his ultimate and his W. And having W on a shorter cooldown means he gets a lot more damage reduction more consistently, meaning the tank gets even more value. I really like that item. I want to see it built on more champions. I like something like a Leona support with that item can combined with Blood Song, you can CC and then auto attack someone for like it then becomes like 15.56% damage increase. It's something pretty nasty. So I think it's going to be built a little bit more as people optimize around it, like especially as more like tank focused CC supports come back towards the meta. For now, we're kind of locked into a stalemate. I'm interested to see where the next battle lines will be drawn. It looks like it might be this mid lane. They're going forward. Rebello taking a big chunk. Everyone's here now, Orbital.
It's true. Everyone's here, including Shino, who is like the gatekeeper. I want you to know how fast VKS backed off once they saw that TP. They're like, we're not letting this go again. We're not letting this happen again to us, guys.
We're out.
The fastest about face I think I've seen in this game so far. That was glorious.
And hey, you know, that's the power of sometimes I talk about holding an ability is better CC than using the ability. In
Right.
Shino's case, just him just being nearby is the best CC possible. He teleported in immediately. All 5 members of EKS got feared. I mean, that's a pretty powerful passive.
It is. I didn't think Nocturne was in the game. I thought that was banned out earlier. That's crazy. We are just waiting, though, and I think for VKS, you're actually very happy about that TP that was just played, because now if you see Shino anywhere else, you are going to recognize that this Dragon could be yours. Remember, Dragon is up in about 20 seconds here, so Nocturne looking for a flank, but is going to step on top of a ward. Oh, this is so dangerous. Culling landing on multiple members. Jessica, though, firing off on all cylinders, tries to go straight to the back line. What a stop for a moment, though. What a hold by Desamas as they draw the fight far, far away. Desamas is able to live thanks to a couple of those fruits on the ground. And guess who's going nuclear in the backline? Zeke's able to find and use them, but that's not one of the main DPS. Are you going to get a little bit more? Mir is still very, very healthy and able to chunk them out. Redemption. Keep the rest of Loud available, but my gosh, that's kill number 1. Sinatra chasing down poor Miru.
I think Use It is a good find. If this fight continues, they're going to sorely miss that sustain, but here comes the teleport.
And they went ahead with a double taunt. Bye-bye. Poor Ezreal. Jeskla unable to make the hero play into Samus having to run away here. This is Loud getting real loud in this game. Controlled a decent part of the mid game and are now breaking down the mid inhibitor tower.
Yeah, it looked like a VKS might be able to get away. Hey, they lost the member of their sustain. If we can draw out this fight, they might be able to. Everyone is death timers right now for VKS except for Miru. And Miru is a burst champion. He can't take all of them at once. He's trying to just buy time, but I think it's curtains for VKS.
Zekis is going to try one last desperate attempt, but the Ragnarok can only go so far. You lose all your resistances. You barely gain AD. And Loud, convincing game number 1.
They're pretty... So some interesting. It looks like maybe there was some conversation to be had between the members of the Loud on stage there. I do wonder what they were talking about, and I assume it must have been a good job, lads, because they pulled off a relatively unlikely win. It felt like they kind of floundered in that early game. They weren't behind though, which I think is very noticeable, and then they were able to capitalize on VKS's mistakes, which allowed them to eventually find their own way into the game and take a big lead by the end of it. Like when that Nexus fell, they were almost 10k up.
Yeah, but I think it goes back to what you said, right? When we talk about execution, when we talk about the composition that Loud had built, we needed to see them execute. We needed to see them be able to play this composition in a very strong pattern. It had a higher execution rate, and it had a higher skill ceiling in there, but it did give them benefits. We knew the rewards would be a much higher value, and we saw it. When we noticed Shino, especially this top lane specific part, again, an integral part of the reason why Loud are currently in a 2-1 position overall in the series score. every time we saw the investment, I mean, Jessica could not get away. So I really do have to call it out. Yes, it might have been a little bit unlikely, but you mentioned that this is a very important series for Loud. This is their ticket to kind of cementing themselves as a top team.
Yeah, this is what they need, right? If Loud want to prove, hey, you guys kind of forgot about us when we're talking about the power rankings. You know, everyone's talking about Los Grandes and Furia, and this VKS is coming out of nowhere, but we are still pretty dang strong, and we picked up some pretty big names in the offseason. This could cement their kind of rise to the top of that leaderboard, getting their names back on everybody's lips.
Yep, I'm excited, and honestly, for VKS, you take your licks, you recognize that, hey, Loud just played a really good game. Very aggressive, very much on their toes, and now VKS have to kind of step forward. They've been in multiple 3-game series so far in their wins along the way. What's one more? Game 3. We'll see if they can pull it off, though. Before we go to a break, I do want to give a big shout out if you want to tune into even more of the action, get our prediction for the upcoming weeks, and maybe even reflect on the previous. Go ahead, check out our YouTube channel, and make sure to follow for the podcast. It gives a good recap as well as a preview of the next few weeks. Go to a short break. When we come back, Game 2 between Loud and VKS on day 3 of Super Week. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone. We are here with game number 2 between VKS and Loud. Loud taking game number 1 in pretty convincing fashion, I will say, towards the mid to late game. But honestly, composition-wise, I don't know if they're going to get it one more time. Loud still on the blue side here into this game 2. So it looks like VKS still holding on to that second pick.
Yeah, they want the counter pick, it would seem, and we'll have to see if they can, make the adjustments in draft. This is something VKS as an organization is pretty self-admitted about over the past time, especially under CL, that their drafts weren't always the strongest, and they struggled to adapt in the draft. Wonder if under Smiley it might be a little different playing from behind here. We see the Leona is gone, a champ that I did explicitly want to see. So thanks for that, Loud. Kind of the worst, actually. The rest of the draft, though, so far pretty standard. A lot of bans towards the jungle, as we have come to expect.
Yeah, I mean, last time I think it was 5 champions banned out. Technically, now it's still 5 because 2 of them are taken away. The Vi and the Wukong no longer to be played. Is it going to be 6 though? I think a roundabout way of seeing it would be that 6th if you wish, but I think there's a far more extra set. Orianna is still a dangerous one. We've seen things like the Syndra also come out, so depending on where you do wish to place your worries, I think it's good. But the Camille, yep, following through once more.
I think the Camille is a decent pick here, though. If Loud do take the Camille in the first rotation, you will have the opportunity to take the Shen right back. So now you have opened up the Shen here in the bot side, not just to counter to the Camille, but Loud just won it anyways. They are like, oh, well, it's still a good pick, whether or not you're going to pick Camille anyways. It does, however, for VKS, it saves the Camille for later if they want to maybe prioritize it in a potential game 3. There will be no Shen to counter it.
That's true. That's true. The problem is they need to make it to that game 3, and honestly, that game 1 did not look super convincing, but they had very steady moments. And when you have something like a Victor, it is also steady in that own game. You know that if Jessica's going to take it, Jessica had a phenomenal game, I think, on the Ezreal up till that late game. You can be very, very safe. Now, going for one of the other supports out there, Rel to match the Shen, I feel like there are far better options in the support role, but Rel is nice, don't get me wrong.
Rel, one of the things here is that Crashdown is not interrupted by taunt, so you will get the full duration of your Crashdown before you get taunted. So you have a lot of options, as well as the mount up auto attack is also pretty difficult to disrupt, though obviously it is an auto attack, so perhaps the Shen W can have something to say about that. And the Syndra will make Rel's life a little harder, as the Scatter of the Weak will sort of deny a lot of that engage power. But regardless, I am excited to see Scamber on the Rel. Rel, one of my favorite picks to watch when it's strong in pro play. Part of the reason I fell in love with CBLOL for real ball knowers. Pain Pro Deltas Rel games were just a treat to watch. So I'm excited to see what Scamber can do with it, even if it is difficult to engage into the composition we see. We have a Jace top and then a Yorick to follow. How do you feel about this, Orbital?
I feel awful. I don't know why we're grabbing York randomly, but that is like Zika's just a happy place, I guess. That's gonna be a brutal mid to late game split push option, and this almost makes me wonder if you need to shake things up on the other side. I don't know how well Jace does into the matchup, but the fact that this has only been able to be picked once so far and has lost in that game is a very scary thought. Of course, mixing and matching here will be the question in the jungle role. Trundle banned away, Akali in that same vein. So Cephas and the rest of Loud, very, very quick on that. We gotta worry about that mid lane.
And is now Loud who ban away the Akali from Miryu, both mid laners in this match. Pretty adept at those, AP playmaking assassins. Another jungle ban, like you said, with the Trundle. I am wondering where the next bans are going to fall. And it will be another jungle ban, Xin Zhao, gone from the rotation. And so the jungle pool is starting to get pretty thin here. A lot of the mainstays are gone. Who has the better pocket picks between Desamas and Sinatra? My brain doesn't know, but my heart wants to say it's Desamas, because I've seen him play quite a few things over his time in the CBLOL. He's got a pretty deep champion pool, but Sinatra, newer kid to the block. We know a little bit less about him, and it is the Sivir as the last ban, and Desamas is going to be on that dog. He got that dog in him.
Yeah, I was about to say the Nefiri is a huge one that's still up, and the composition with a lot of the tankiness factors were leading into we can set up for an assassin. Now, if you do the same thing for Loud, I don't know how well that would actually transfer. This type of pocket pick for Sinatra would be huge, and it would give you an option to flex into the red or blue cane. But are you willing to actually pick it? Is this a game to do so? And you will go ahead and lock it in for Sinatra. Wild, no pick rate so far, saying this is the answer to the Nefiri. I respect Loud a whole hell of a lot for this pickup.
Really interesting. Kane has essentially no presence. He's been picked twice in like all recorded pro play so far this split, and none of it has been at tier 1. So this is a real pocket pick. Some incredible tech, perhaps Loud think they are sleeping on as either a counter to the Nefiri or just something that they think will be strong for their comp. I am interested to see how they play this out, because that's a bit of a swing, that you're taking right now.
Yeah, it's a very, very big one. An answer at the very end, possible hyper carry position, but you already have that Victor in the bot side, so you are going to draft into the Ari, which currently has a very rough current percentage on there. It always hurts to see that champion right there, but it is going to be put into that mid lane. Top side will be the York. I mean, SuperBren, this Loud composition is vastly different than we saw in game number 1, but same for VKS. VKS kind of bulking it up a little bit.
Yeah, VKS has both the Yorick and the Rel that can be, exceptionally tanky frontliners, and that's not to sleep on the Victor as well. A well-built Victor is, somewhat difficult to deal with, not just because he can play from so far away, he's able to buy space, but, Victor has the option to itemize something into more a tankier build if he wants to. So we'll kind of see how the game plan plays out. I really don't have any predictions. My little stats brain, my little color cast or predictive, pattern recognition doesn't work. I see the Kane and it completely breaks down.
Yeah, I mean, this is... I don't know how this is going to work, but I think even if we listen in on some of the other casters in there, you can hear him just going, we don't know what's going to happen with this. We really don't know what's going to happen with this, which, by the way, shout out to all of the happy dads out there. That was awesome to watch for. A little bit of tap as you're trying to blow up your little clappers there. That is awesome. But a lot of love from the fans inside of the audience here, and we're very excited to see who is going to take this game number 2. A lot on the line here. We talked about how for Loud and VKS, these two are going at it to see who is going to really own the top of the leaderboards here in the CBLOL.
Yeah, it's going to matter a lot for kind of our perception of these teams going forward. And I think Loud really has to want it. VKS, obviously everybody wants to win every week, but VKS is in a pretty strong position. I think they're doing better than people had expected them to do so far. But, up to this point, Loud, I think, are kind of seen as they're good, but can they really get it done? And VKS would be a great team to kind of prove that, yeah, we can hang with the top dogs. We are not just, we're not going to be what ifs. We're not, so close. But here they are, Loud getting aggressive early. Already forced the flash out of Zekas. And that is a great start.
Yeah, I love that. And you're not only that, you're looking to dissuade Desamas once more. Such a spicy aggression moment. And yo, coach, I know you're getting interviewed right now, but you got to turn around and take a look at what's going on. Great smite away by Desamas. You are able to kind of slow down that pacing, but I think Sinatra was able to pick up a little bit more. Bot side, Rebello and Jeskla farming it up like usual between mid laners, but use that making their way around as Scamber will back Amiru. Loud putting down some pressure very, very early on.
Yeah, and chat has kindly informed us, for those of us that are a little less familiar, Sinatra, the jungler for Loud, is a Kane one trick, was very famous in solo queue for doing that, has lots of high level optimizations in terms of the way you can path with this champion using the E, with when and how he will choose his form going forward. I see the Conquer, which does lead me to believe we are aiming for a red Kane in this match, someone that can, be a little bit more of a front line for a Loud that otherwise doesn't really have one. Have the option to kind of play a bit more bruisery there.
Hmm. And I
That
mean,
being
be able to just make a mark in this. I mean, the early aggression also puts DeSamas a little bit on the back foot as well, right? You're looking at the spot of, okay, Sinatra wants to get a lead, wants to be really, really aggressive, and is going to look to kind of punch out and take that early lead, start getting some of those early ganks, and get your form very early on as well. At the current moment, though, Sinatra is actually getting invaded on the flip side. Scammer and DeSamas maybe getting away with daylight robbery. Got inside the brush just in
he
time.
doesn't
But Scammer was gone because
know.
the Samus went on the other side of the wall. Sinatra having to very quickly ghost out of dodge, but that could have been so bad.
Yeah, I think if he's genuinely most other junglers, he has a problem there, but Kane able to just go through the wall to get away. Now VKS bringing reinforcements. They want this red buff. They don't want to invest all this time and get nothing out of it. So they're able to take the red buff. Sinatra just barely able to get away from the Rel. And that is unfortunate for the Loud jungler, but they might be able to find something on the flip side as Jeskla is falling low. Flashes
Knew
away
that the
just in
taunt.
time.
Yep, knew the taunt was coming out here, had to be far more careful. A much more explosive game, in my opinion. Looking at this game number 2, everyone getting a mix, things are going to get messy. Kills will be made if you are not careful. And that's why you got to be on your toes. Kaze with a really nice sidestep by that charm. Scamber ready to run interference, but it's kind of mix-ups. These opportunities are abound on both sides equally, depending on who gets the kill. Zekas, though, once again, getting bullied around here. That's a flash in, and Shino picks up first blood with a tower dive.
Yeah, Shino already off to a big advantage. Obviously, Zekas does not have the flash because had to expend it from that early invade, and Loud doing a similar thing, using some resources very early on in the game to set Zekas behind. You can see the CS discrepancy, and as this play starts, Zekas is trying to recall but can't because this tower is going to come crashing in, and a good poke there from Shino hits the shock blast, and he times his flash perfectly. Watch as he goes in, the wall comes up, and he immediately follows with the flash auto to get that kill and get out of tower range with the move speed. Very well executed there for Shino in the top side.
I will say as well, Shino had a little bit of a smile in there, and that max range shock blast, by the way, every good Jace player knows you put the gate closer to you, it slightly extends the range of that empowered shock blast, and it can do so much damage. So well done by Shino, who last game basically got a huge helping hand from his teammates to get out of that laning phase and become a monster on the invested, this time taking it to town against the York early and has that massive lead. So we'll have to keep eyes on that. VKS, are you going to help your top laner? Are you going to let that York just kind of scale on its own and pray that it'll reach mid to late game in good standing?
Yeah, I think part of it is how much investment do we really need to put into the Yorick, right? Because
yeah,
eventually he will just do Yorick stuff. Like he's not going to be at the fight anyways. So what's the matter if he's behind? Just go hit towers, buddy. You know that's the thing he does. But Loud decide it's very much worth investing some resources into this Yorick, at least to set him as far behind as possible. Scamber walks into the brush blind, but VKS have the numbers here.
And it looks like VKS had a good idea that things were going to happen once more, as Shino is in full poke mode. Look at these auto attacks underneath the tower, already at about 500 HP. So Scammer and DeSamas are going to try and help out. Ooh. DeSamas missing the leap of the wall always feels a little bit bad, but it's funny nonetheless.
And now Loud still kind of set up in this top side. Uzent is still hovering around. Oh, but it's Shino who's now on the back foot there, gets caught in the wall, takes a lot of damage from the Maiden. This is when Yorick does become a bit of an actual champion. He does have the Maiden. Scamber is here.
Yep, and now the jungle fight is really where we want to watch. Nice shockwave to draw Scamber in as the rest of the team here. VKS cannot help out, but the resounding battle could be big. Mirror Spirit rushes in and catches Yuza unawares. Really nice catch, number 1. Sinatra over the wall, only level 5, and with no unbold trespass, you will be gifted over to the enemy team. VKS with a beautiful chase reactionary gives them 2.
Yeah, Loud trying to continue this aggressive posturing, stay in the enemy's face, and continue to apply pressure. But they step a little bit too far, got a little too confident. And Miryu coming over, getting that early kill is going to be very good for VKS. You can see that Sinatra was just going to come in, thinks, well, we can win this. This is a 3v2. But it doesn't take that long for Miryu to get there. And yes, he's somewhat low on mana, but he has enough for Spirit Rush, which is all he needs to get this damage down. Takes out Yuzen first. And Sinatra, like you said, with no Umbral Trespass, nowhere to go, and no way to pick up Miryu on the back end because he can just Spirit Rush back through the wall, back the way he came, and a good pickup there for VKS to kind of equalize out this game. They had been floundering a little bit early, but they're keeping it close now.
Very, very powerful there. And Samus waiting for a moment again. The dog, what that dog doing, bro? what that dog doing, bro?
What the dog doing?
I don't know. That dog was like 3 miles away from its owner. That was a little bit funny. Loud though. Let's take a look at what they can do as we got a bus roll on. I have not seen this graphic yet. That is crazy.
You haven't seen Buskoon?
I have not. That is a crazy graphic to watch roll across the bottom of my screen.
Yeah, no, chat loves the bus, man.
I love the bus too whenever I'm riding it to victory, but not right there. That was just wild to me. I haven't seen that, but we are seeing the Groudzy taken by Sinatra very, very comfortably in that range, even on the wards because of Yuzen's float. Scamber trying to do something, but so far for Loud, just kind of keeping the status quo in their favor.
Yeah, and Loud is still, ultimately in the driver's seat, has a decent lead, mostly coming out of that top side. Sinatra continuing to path around, get to these early objectives, is able to take all the grubs. The dragon is still up, notably. We are 8 minutes in. The dragon has yet to fall because a lot less attention has been paid to the bottom side of the map, but it might not need to be. Jessica falling low, Librella falling low. That was very close.
Yeah, that 1v1 can go so many different ways, as in the mid lane we saw the Spirit Rush utilized once more, and Miryu's starting to get a little bit more aggressive, and so we'd like to see, but on the top side, poor Zekas is like, guys, there's trouble for a moment, but because Zekas this time is a little bit healthier than before, no full dive to come on out. Shino doesn't want to take that chance. Yeah, starting to get a little bit more aggressive around the map. We respect this even if they're 1.3 down.
Yeah, and Zeka's opting for this early, survivability. Started with the Doran's helm, picks up the boots to try and dodge some of these shock blasts, as well as the armor to eat the ones that do connect. So he is going to eventually kind of stabilize in this top side, I do imagine. You can see the graphic on the left side. This is not all the CBLOL action we have for today. A second series to follow. Fluxu versus Furia. A struggling start for Furia, but a Fluxu team that, while they haven't had the results, has had the promise. So it could be a big upset in that match. You do not want to miss it. The other thing you don't want to miss is this dive in the top side, Orbital.
They're going to try it once more, but Zekas is so good at dancing around so far. How much more are you going to bait out here? Good tank by the side of Yuzen with a fourth to come on in. Sinatra there just to give a little bit of extra, and they are going to once again look to burst down this tower. Loud playing through the top side of the map and in line with some of their other wins previously. Shino, high regards for the rest of the team.
Yeah, I wonder if they just had in their scouting upon reviewing some of these games that VKS had played, said, hey, we identified this top side as this is a weak point. This is something we can exploit, because they've done the same strategy in both games, continuously just diving on repeat, looking to take this tower early. It has been mildly less effective on its own this game in a vacuum, but when you consider that the rest of the map is not nearly as behind as it was in the first game, it means that Loud are doing significantly better, to the tune of a 2,500 gold lead very early on here. You're going to see the item breakpoints start to come through pretty soon. You can see that Kaze is very close to that Blackfire Torch. Shino in the top side already has his Yomu's Ghost Blade, and so these first item breakpoints for these solo laners are going to be very important for these next skirmishes, especially because, again, we are now 11 minutes in and the dragon still stands. Is this going to be a friend for Alfonso, the Eternal Cloud Drake?
Alfonso, the Eternal Cloud Drake, doesn't need more friends. Like, definitely not in Infernal either. Like, let's get this dragon taken care of. Let's see what the next one is, but Again, for Loud, you're so used to this pressure game, and they aren't really giving up. Now, I do want to ask you, how much weight do you think Loud currently have in the mid to late? We know the late game in game number one with the Mbessa, with a lot of these other champs, was so strong. Do we see that same level late game potential from the composition here?
They do have the opportunities because the red cane is such a like space controller, and that is, you can see the itemization coming out for Sinatra. That is what he's opting for, and he's going to be able to kind of sit and just kind of cause problems and stay alive for a long time, which lets the other members of his team do that chip damage repeatedly over and over. A shockwave in the top side, Kaze getting aggressive, and that's why here comes Sinatra.
Maybe I talked a little bit too much about the composition, not so much about the ganks. Zekas, though, able to walk away from this one fairly well. The Disjoint and Kaze not having true amounts of damage just yet is going to be safe. However, Yuzen dashing away here has to play a little bit safer. Rebello waiting with the Scout of the Week. With that play, everyone kind of, positioning for glory. VKS leaning towards that bot side of the map again.
Yep, they're trying to once again control his bot side of the map. Might be looking to take the dragon, get some power in their favor. They talked about the potential late game. I do think that with the Yorick, the late game always seems like a great option for VKS to just get that split push going. But both teams seem very mid-game team fight oriented, as has been the meta over the past, month or so. So I think it is going to be determined around these neutral objectives here in the mid game rather than a late game fight. But it is now Loud who are starting up the dragon, and VKS's kind of investment into this bottom side has not paid off so far.
Coming on in, though, Miru really trying to make a play happen, but Shino is able to barely spot dodge away from that orb once more, and Sinatra sneaks away the dragon under the nose of VKS. And by the way, Sinatra still waiting for their form, just kind of wandering around enemy territory. DeSamus to steal away a camp for their troubles, but great dragon to Loud to start.
It doesn't have, the form quite yet, but now Kaze again, another shockwave invested.
And I don't know if you actually like this. Okay, the reason is you are calling in the Stand United. Zekas is now getting run out to Sinatra. Poor Zekas is getting bullied once more in this game. That's rude, man.
They just keep doing it. It must have been they just felt that Zekas's positioning in past series was not particularly up to snuff, because they have just been looking to punish him over and over, holding the Stand United, knowing that the Cane is coming in, and here it is, the red form, the darkened form. Rost, the Darkened Scythe, is on the Rift now, and you can see Sinatra is going to use the full extent of that kit. He understands this champion quite well, obviously, and I think like I said, he's going to get a lot of value out of being that sort of tanky bruiser frontliner. He's going to buy a lot of time and space, which I think his composition needs.
Yep, give them a little bit more room to work with. Rashino, though, now just breaking down more towers and being gifted so much gold, 1.8 alone in that gold differential in the top side. Vastly different state of mind. 3.5 on the dragon. Obviously, we saw the dragon go down a little bit earlier. But the rest for VKS just slowly wandering around the map, and I'm so curious. It feels like they're kind of lost in how they want to play this. They are moving around with Miru, but now it is about that Herald. And this could be huge right now, depending on who gets in whose way.
Yeah, I think if VKS can, find a way to take a fight, they do have some decent items on their side. You see the Cyclosword in DeSamus' inventory. It allows him to do a lot of upfront damage, a lot of slow. Have the Malignants.
This is going to be a TP in. Who gets a smite? It is going to go the way of DeSamus, and now they get even more Great Scout of the Week to slow them down. But a loss of Sinatra early means that not much more can be done. For Loud, the fact that they were able to scout away is actually really, really good. But Miru taking a little bit low now, and they're going to come back in for good damage on the back end. Oh, they got Miru. Miru's almost down. Flash over the wall to follow, and it looks like Loud are getting Loud once more. Laser across the backside, and Sheska is out of mana, though. Loud have done it. They forced VKS to pay the price for that Herald, and they will take 4 lives for 2.
Yeah, VKS kind of just overstep there. Find themselves getting chunked low, don't respect the damage potential, the a high amount of burst from the double mage composition, and they fall just low enough, and a great stun there from the Syndra. You can see the scatter of the weeks were on point this fight. They go forward, Miryu diving all the way in, but look how low he falls, half health from just two abilities, get chunked even a little bit more there. And then a scat of the week across two members allows the Jace to just surge forward. And that's a bit of a wallet diff. I fear that if they weren't super far ahead, if they didn't have the damage on board, then this play goes the way of VKS, because they don't get chunked down nearly as
Yep.
fast. But the Jace with two items, Kaze has two items, Rebello almost two items, and the damage that they have, they're able to put out is just too much for VKS to handle.
Yeah, this is getting out of this world and getting very frustrating, I think, for VKS specifically. VKS, every time they try and make a move around the map, they try and make a play, they are getting some of the macro under their belt, but it just doesn't feel like it really sticks. However, for Shino, able to hop away from that wall of pandas and is able to try and dance around the side. However, it's a double TP into the top side as one-on-one is big. Desama taking another tower shot on the back end. Scatter of the Week not going to reach, but a triple actually as the third TP, second for VKS, brings Jessica to the top side of the map. What is this investment coming in for VKS as a mid lane push is coming out from Loud?
Well, it's just the Orianna, yes, with the ramping auto attacks, and the Kayn in the mid lane. And yes, they're going to take that tower, but you've already kind of committed to the dive in the top side, so it's a bit of sunk cost fallacy. They feel like they need to do it, and now they're going to lose Rebello, and they don't even get the tower. VKS, I think, is suffering from getting in their heads, feeling that they need to make something happen, even if the thing to happen isn't there. And now it is Scamber the next to fall. And VKS, while they did generate some goal out of the play, they give just as much back right over the other direction. Just tried to force a play that wasn't there, and ultimately end up paying the price for it.
Yeah, I just did not feel great. We'll see if it works out in their favor a little bit further on. Zeka's given a little bit more space to work with as now that 1.7 is cut down to 1.3. Kaze looking at the top side tower, which I don't know if you actually want to stay for. It is literally on a hair's breadth. Nice little command move, keeping Mirror at bay, but guess what? Desamas is on the back foot and says, hello, I am ready to play. Good chunks coming out here. Rotation up, coming in from Rebello, but there's the dive that you're waiting for, and a quick ult out to keep Kaze low, and they're going to dance around this one. Last auto attack is there. The neutralization of Kaze's life, as that is a shutdown headed directly to Miru's pockets.
Yeah, Miryu able to keep up in gold with Kaze, both of them now at one death, but having a number of kills to their names. This is going to be an item for, more components for Miryu on the back. Does already have that proto belt. Gets a couple more stacks on his dark seal as well. They eat into the gold lead a little bit, but it's not much. As you can see, Loud continuing to find things to do across the map. I want to harken back to something you had said earlier, that VKS looked a little lost. I think they did throughout that beginning of the mid game at the end of laning phase. They just didn't really feel like they had a goal in mind. They're going around the map hoping something would happen to them. And then when nothing did, they just kept consistently falling behind Loud. Now is Desamas, who gets caught with a knock-up. All the members of both teams are here except for their top laners.
Guess what? The top lane is looking for the pinch as well, forcing a battle that maybe they did not want. Scamber recognizing that, hey, I don't want to be here. Shockwave draws you in. It's a solo Shockwave, but it's enough to get one. Shino dropping the backline like flies, which allows Zekas to be fully dogpiled in a 1v4. Shino will fall, but an overall 3-for-1 leans to Loud's way. Beautiful team fight collapse.
Yeah, they're able to get the top laner in up on that teleport flank, and he just does so much damage with this, with this build with the Ghost Blade. He's able to get in immediately, and he already, you can see the last Whisper coming in, allowing him to essentially just do true damage to everyone on the side of EKS. They're not particularly tanky, except for their Rel, who's clearly getting bullied here in the bottom of the map. You can see the Shockwave pulls him back in. Like I said, that flank from Shino comes in with so much shielding, so much damage on top of that. He will eventually fall, but he buys more than enough time for their Syndra to pick up a double kill, and Rebello's having himself a bit of a game. 5-0-4, 2.6k up on Jeskla, his opponent.
This is looking worse and worse for VKS. And we can see why they're at the top of the tables. Do not get me wrong, they're currently matched for first place, but we can also see why a lot of their series have gone to 3 games. A lot of their matches just seem a little bit lost in there, and Loud taking advantage of those small mistakes, trying to hand VKS not only the first loss, but a 2-0 loss as well. Sinatra still scaling up very, very well and is out looking for a little bit more bite. It's trespassing all in enemy territory as a split fight might lend itself to Loud's win. Rebello getting a nice out of the way. Jessica is currently zoned away. Who has the proto belt? Out. Sinatra joining in the rest of the squad. Gets a great knockup, and guess what? That is going to be poor Scamber, who is trying to melt them with a little bit of Storm, not enjoying the HP differential. And this is again Loud to do the exact same thing once again. DeSamus running interference, but Loud say it's our game to play. DeSamus can get no other life, and it is Loud to get 3 more kills.
Yeah, and it's at this point, it's just VKS either forcing things to happen or not having like a coordinated effort when they do want things to happen. They find themselves split across the map, and this is something that Loud has done not just with this iteration of the team, but historically something the organization is great at. Is you just are eventually you're gonna make a mistake, and Loud is gonna punish you for it because they're better at fighting than you are, and that's just how they have seemingly always played, and it tends to work out for them more often than not. You can see the fight here is very split. Scamber buys quite a bit of time, but on that support budget, you can only get so tanky, and the health bars on Loud are just too big. There's nothing that VKS really can do except for just don't be in that situation in the first place.
Yeah, I hate saying that too, SuperBren, but it's such a real statement, right? There is only so much we can say before just like, don't do that, man. We told you not to like put your hand on the hot stove like 7 times. Don't do that, man. Like that's all we have. After a while, it's like I don't know what else I can really say here. Zekas is gonna pop the ultimate and bring out the maiden to try and push out that mid lane, but again, it's just there. You're using it around the map. For Loud, you're seeing that window of opportunity open wider and wider to take more, to push into the enemy territory. A 3-man stack inside the mid lane, getting ready for the 3rd dragon of the game, which I never really thought we'd get here in this position, but Loud on the cusp of putting themselves on a 3-0 dragon score and putting themselves on soul point.
Yeah, they have their command of the map. They kind of get to pick and choose what battles they want to take. The Baron is up. They do this now. DeSamus is up there getting vision around. The Dragon now up as well. And Ocean Soul, not necessarily super necessary for Loud, but good to deny away from VKS. They have lots of poke options on the side of Loud, lots of like little chip damage they can do, and denying away an Ocean Soul could be something. VKS trying to make a play here. They know that they have the vision control. They know that there's no blue side vision, but Scamber now going to give away the goose. The Baron is down to half, but the members of Loud are surging over, and VKS have to abandon the play.
I mean, that was the same thing as we saw before back in game number 1. It's like, oh, we're gonna try Baron because you're doing nope, back away. But this time it made sense. VKS recognized that they had to make some sort of play, and not only that, you were able to draw Zekas into a tower for yourself. Hey, you got gold. You're gonna pay the price. We already knew this. You're going to pay the price for this tower take, but at least you got the gold right at the end of the day.
Yeah, they get something out of it, but it's man, it's it's like tough to describe. It feels, for the side of VKS, almost like they're being squeezed, in like a hydraulic press, and they keep, every time they try and wriggle, they like stick an arm or a leg outside of the hydraulic press. It gets like hit with a stick or something. Like they just have to sit there and stay in the hydraulic press. Can they find something here? A good charm, a good engage. Oh,
and the engage might be more than enough. Shino is going to go down. However, is the gold lead a little bit too large for the rest of VKS to actually find that shockwave? It is not up just yet, so it is going to lean VKS's way. Miru still on the chase, full HP and a massive mana bar. Charm going to hit the minion wave though, so it's only to another TP to come down. But it's kills for kills' sakes, but for VKS, you'll take that.
They'll take what they can get, getting some gold back, cutting the gold lead to only 3K. Zekas is still going forward here. The rest of VKS soon to follow. but a great scatter of the week to cut off that, surge forward, force VKS to reconsider their options. Man, the caster curse works in mysterious ways. No, guys, VKS can't do anything at all, and then they just make a play out of nothing. They think Desamas is going to be caught out all alone, and Miru coming in as well as a huge engage from Scamber. Really, really good. Something you can do as the Rel is to use the Magnet Storm mid crash down. It immediately just puts you going forward with the Magnet Storm, and everyone you hit will get dragged in and then knocked up by the crash down. It is a really, really strong engage there from Scamber. VKS try to find some more off of the back of it. Don't have anything to follow.
Nasty from Miru. And in that fight earlier, shout out to Miru for also making the most of the engagement after that first kill.
I got to stop saying that VKS can't do things, because then they immediately go and do things, man. Or maybe I should say that VKS can't do things, and then they'll figure their life out. The gold lead now slashed in half, only 1.8k.
Round 2, electric boogaloo
coming in.
Round number 2, baby, let's go. This time we got everyone in the bank. Flash trying to stay safe, but Dasam is just clearing out the ward in the Baron pit, and they are going to fight it here. Unleash Power will get the kill, but it's a very quick kill nonetheless. Remember, Baron is still at about 3/4 HP. TP towards the middle of the lane, but VKS, they're not stopping this time around. Yuzan's in the area, Sinatra ready to go. VKS, you might need to pull off this Baron right now. Another TP. This is a 5v4. I don't think you like this one. Remember what happened last time? Sinatra ready to go with the Elmo Trespass. Can you stay alive? What a charm! And you blow him up! That's just death! And now Shino has to run away! VKS, the magic is happening here in the late game.
Yeah, VKS recognized there that, yes, we are outnumbered, but a teleport was blown. So Rebello can't get here quickly. He cannot immediately follow up with his team. So we know it's actually a 4v4 for the time being. And 2, the shockwave was used by Kaze. It's still on cooldown. As long as we can find a member, get a pick, then we're playing a 4v5 and they're down resources. They immediately get what they wanted, are too low to go straight back to the Baron. But the kill, baiting in and getting Sinatra will be absolutely worth it if they can find some little more pressure on the map. You can see they see Sinatra on the control ward there, and they immediately pivot, know that he's all alone, that the teleport will not reach him in time. And Shino does his best, but immediately has to dip away as fast as possible. A good play there from VKS, a good bait, and the Loud coaching staff not particularly happy.
Yeah, I will say big shout out to Desamas for recognizing that, hey, if that knockup goes through, Desamas gets a free out. Right, Desamas or Sinatra gets a free out on the Umbral Trespass. You did not allow the knockup. You did not allow that extra damage to come through, so it was very, very good. However, 10 seconds on Dragon, this can be big. Scout of the Week is going to miss its sole point right now. VKS really need this teamfight win. You can see the pings going down here in SuperBren. It is so dangerous to use them. Start get chunked out here. Has to get an extra heal on the back end. Sinatra hiding in a bush in the back lines. Where do they go from here? Uh-oh.
Where do they go? Indeed, the Maiden is the first to fall. It does curb Yorick's power significantly, but the health bar is still fairly high on both sides. They do get some poke onto Yuzan. That will curb the ability for Loud to engage, but poke coming back the other direction. I think we're going to have to see some big play here. The Magnet Storm is up. I'm looking to Scamber's Rel. They are grouped up here in this river.
Oh, Yuzan's got flash. Magnet Storm scouted away, and the shockwave lands on 2 on the front line. This is Loud getting a punch on number 1. Gravity Well can only do so much. Miru, though, untouched, ready to dash into the back line. And Samus looking for the assassination. Scout of the Week, even more, but Rebello is already down. Dragon stolen away, though, by Loud. So Loud get the healing. This is enough to turn around. Chino's still alive. Stand united to stay up and alive. Loud may have turned it around on his head. And Sinatra, the one that grabs it all, says Baron was an anomaly. Dragon is the reality. Loud with the ace in the late game.
An incredible fight back and forth, but Loud find a few key moments to get slightly ahead and then turn the fight around. A great scatter of the week from Rebello, and immediately what follows then after, just a kind of slugfest between the two teams, and stand united to keep his teammates alive and continue that fight, because even with the initial picks, it looked so close. Mirio was doing so much damage. Desamas was doing so much damage, but just enough shielding comes through from Muzen, and now Loud have the Dragon Soul. They're looking to set up some vision around the Baron as well. And the momentum, which seemed to be such a fickle mistress heading the way of VKS, is now fully back in the favor of Loud.
And I gotta give credit to VKS for how hard they fought that, chasing into the backline. Desamas did everything right, but Loud, a little bit extra gold, and Sinatra still staying alive. Sinatra has been a beast this game so far. This time, though, Baron is still a very dangerous call if you're gonna go for it. Yuzen frontlining right now, level 12, but doing what a Shen should. Shino with the shots in the back line, trying to poke out an opponent, but with this Ocean Soul, it is so difficult for VKS to get anywhere. Only a single Aegis Wounds on the mark, and Zeka's now getting caught out. A resounding shot, number one, Emerald Trespass to hold them steady, and Shino ready for the engagement of quadruple knockup again as Sinatra sets Loud out for the clean. A brutal 4-man kill as Loud pushed down mid.
Yeah, they're going to push down mid, and Jessica can't even get back there, and he's going to take a lot of damage trying to teleport back to base. Going to immediately have to run back to the fountain, give up even more space, and they're going to get the inhibitor for their troubles. If they can find Jessica, they can look for a little bit more. He has to play safe here, and he's not gonna. Loud could look to end the timers. Still 8 seconds on literally anyone. I think this is Loud's series.
I mean, could is would is done and dusted. Loud. Resounding final minutes to hand VKS their first loss of Split 3.
And to hand Kane his first victory on a tier 1 major stage since LCS Summer 2024, when River played it in Shopify Rebellion versus 100 Thieves. It has been over 2 years since Kane saw a victory on the major stage, or saw any game on a major stage, and Loud find a way to make it work. Their series score now evens them with VKS, and they hold the head-to-head. I believe this makes Loud our second-placed team in the region now, and they are going to be very happy about that.
Yeah, that is phenomenal work. And I mean, even my lights decided to completely blind me with how chaotic this was. I loved every moment of this. Game number 2 was spicy. We didn't really know how it was going to go. We saw VKS starting to fight back, Miru with some of those engagements, and then just explosiveness all the way around. And I gotta ask, does this now mean teams have to give Sinatra the benefit of the doubt and ban out the Kane?
Do you have to ban out the Kane? I'm not quite sure that we're at that stage yet, but now you have to respect it, right? You need to game plan around it. You need to prep for it. I don't think VKS really was familiar with, like, obviously everyone knows what Kane does. Like, these are all professional players. They know what all the champs are. They know their abilities. They know what they do. But that doesn't necessarily mean you know the capabilities in the hands of a top level player like Sinatra. So yeah, do they, need to does every team now need to brush up on, like, okay, what's the optimal Kane pathing? How do we counter jungle a Kane? Well, right. That might be in the cards. A lot of prep work maybe to do for whoever has to play Loud next.
That hurts. That stings. More stuff to personally ban out. I don't know if I want to have that. You and I, we talked about the fact that, hey, day 3 might not be the most explosive in terms of placements or anything like that. It was an important match. But we took a look at the matchups and we said, hey, there isn't, craziness on the board. I appreciate VKS and Loud for giving us a thrilling 2-0 series, and Loud now a much larger target on their back. Now, SuperBren, I believe that is it for you and I here on the day, but I believe you are going to stay right here, right? Yeah, you're sticking around. And we have, I believe, our amazing producer, Dia, stepping on in for the second series on the day, which is going to be Fluxu versus Furia. So we'll go ahead and go to a short break. When we come back, it will be the second series to go ahead and close out day 3 of Super Week here in the CBLOL scene. Don't go anywhere.
risk the follow. We have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding. Only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies. The champions of the world that we defy. A solo ride of the few who rise up high. And we all fight at the last light.
live. Hello, everyone. I am manually taking down the music because I haven't figured out how to do that automatically yet. But it's me, producer Dia, and Bren joining me. Thank you so much, Bren. It was fantastic to have you commentate last series, as always. And I'm excited and a little bit scared for this one based on how the first one.
Yeah, we've had a lot of 2-0s this super week so far. The only series that went to 3 was a VKS's first series on the start of Friday. But now, we have a middle of the table matchup. It's both teams are 1 and 2, Furia versus Fluxu, and they would certainly like to distinguish themselves, from the rest of the pack, try to set themselves up in a position to make a good start for this latter half of the season, this push towards the playoffs.
Yeah, I remember in the podcast this Tuesday, whenever we recorded it, I honestly can't remember, but I was talking about this matchup as being one of the more interesting ones to watch because it is about separating the middle of the table of CBLOL that has been, until this point, basically all tied together. Right now, you guys can see, but we've got 4 teams tied for 4th, which is just not how the season is going to end. So, in the interest of breaking these up, I'm very excited for what we'll get during the course of these series, or this series specifically, because Fluxu and Furia have had very similar seasons so far, but I personally believe that Furia has yet to show us their true ceiling, or at least that's what my fantasy picks say.
Yeah, Furia, one of the premier teams in the CBLOL, and they have been over the past year, essentially since MSI of 2025, when they were just so close to taking a series off of literally either team that they played. They were so close, and so we have been looking forward to seeing more from them. But it does feel like they do tend to struggle towards the end of the year. They went to MSI this year as well, did not have quite the level of performance that maybe we wanted from them, and now are kind of dealing with that recovery process. Last year, they said they were engaged in so much training, it was hard to recover. This year, obviously, they have back-to-back international events. So hopefully we can see them reclaim some of that mojo.
Also, a big part of this has been looks, and that's no flame intended, but it's been a difficult thing to swap out a jungler in the middle of the split and try and figure out whatever that means. In honesty, bringing a coach in probably lowers the ceiling of your team by not 20%, but I'm going to say at least 5% if they're a very good coach and 10% if they're not. And if they're a fake coach, then maybe more than 20%. But I don't think that he's a fake coach.
I don't.
Lux is fine. He has been playing fine. He hopefully has a slightly better day today, but it does mean that they need to change the game plan, because when you're playing with your coach and not one of your star players, if not your true star player, you got to change the strats around.
Yeah, and question for you: was Tatu suspended for 2 weeks, or was it 2 series? Do we get Tatu back today, or are we still going to have Luke's? Because I actually don't.
I don't know.
We'll find out as we see the players get out to the stage, or when the draft starts. We'll see if we get some the Tatu's revenge. On the flip side, for Fluxu, we have talked about them. We said it, I believe after the first week, it was like the podcast was like, hey, if this is our 5th best team, if this is the level of our 5th best team, then I'm happy with that, because Fluxu has some upside. They are not complete pushovers, and I feel like if they find the right set of circumstances, then they can take some games off of just about anybody.
You certainly imagine so, and it is the CBLOL, so taking games off of random teams that we shouldn't be able to is sort of our calling card. Let's go ahead and jump into the draft since we've got that up, and I get to press the nice little button that brings it up like this so we can talk about it as it goes. The Rise lock in first, and we don't talk about hovers for this very reason. Tatu, as it appears, though, is back, and that is worth talking about. Nice call, Bren. Nice catch on exactly how long he was suspended for, because I was just waiting. I was just waiting for him to come back. I didn't know when it was happening.
And it is going to be a big deal. There's a lot of things that open up. You can play a much more complex game plan. It's the difference between essentially your jungler is almost like your quarterback for people that engage in American football, or if you're a hockey guy, your center, or if you're a football guy, like it's not quite a striker. It's more like a really solid midfielder, right? Someone that can
What if
distribute
I
the ball.
only play League of Legends? Then what is?
Oh, well, then he's like your jungler.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
But he's going to essentially, you can do a lot more complex of a game plan, a way to distribute the wealth and experience across the map much more interestingly. You don't have to play as straightforward, and thus it's a lot harder to counter when you have someone at such a high level as we know Tatu can play in that jungle. As we look at this first wave of picks, we see on Fluxu's side, they've opted for the Rise. That is a great late game scaler. And then a very kind of 2v2 skirmish heavy bot lane with the Corki and the Leona.
I have changed myself to watching this VMix as I normally do. So if you guys have any issues with with the audio, please put that in Twitch chat, because I will try and check that occasionally. As it is, we are actually going to get deep into the draft here. I will say, Bren, I am certified Jace hater. We talked about this, I believe, last week when I was on the broadcast. So not loving Furia's draft so far, if simply because this champion, I think, gets very, very little value wherever they are picked around the world. However, the rest of the draft, I can't say that I mind. And Jace does synergize with something that Furia want to do, which is keep you at arm's length entirely. Luxu, at least with Leona, want to go in, but Furia very, very staunchly are going to keep that from happening.
Yeah, not big fans of letting the enemy engage on them. They'll have both Jace and Ezreal that can just stay quite far away, and then obviously they scatter the weak to buy their own space should they need to. I will say, if there's some people that are going to disagree with you on that Jace take, it might be loud from the last game, because I think Shino maybe showed that there is some value to find, but there was a lot of investment into that top side to get Shino ahead. I wonder if Furia have a similar game plan, especially because they have two carries in the bot and mid lane that are somewhat self-sufficient. It's hard to bully out a Syndra. It's hard to bully out an Ezreal. They generally can play fairly safe, so maybe some attention should be paid to that top side of the map.
God bless a NASA span in the year of our Lord 2026. This is...
You can't leave it up against Tatu, man.
I know. This is like the Tatu... This is the Tatu effect. You can't leave NASA's up, but banning it, man, does it look weird. With things like Olaf and Vi taken away, I mean, it's very obvious junglers are missing. Technically, Jace can still be flexed to the jungle. That's something that we, and more importantly Fluxu, should be aware of, especially if this Vayne gets locked in right now. Although, in all honesty, I could see this Vayne sort of forcing Jace top lane as well. It is an awkward position for Fluxu, having to lock in one thing or another, not really sure what they want to do with their jungler as well. But if they pick something like Cassante here, it is pretty inflexible. Nefiri, maybe a little bit more flexible, but also just a much more generically strong jungler, which feels fine.
Yeah, I think that will feel fine, and they will ultimately bring in the Cassante. Well, that Vayne hover this is why we don't talk about hovers, but we've talked about this a few weeks in the past. If you see the Jace up and you pick Vayne, you are probably throwing, because man, any advantage that Vayne generates of okay, well, against poke picks, I can gap close and kind of brawl with them. Against melee picks, I can use my range advantage to bully them. Jace does that better, and it is the Poppy, which I imagine is gonna go into the jungle for Tatu. I don't imagine it is Poppy top. They've stopped.
I kind of feel like Poppy top would go kind of hard here. Maybe I'm tripping. I'm okay with tripping. We'll see. They're playing games with us right now.
Yeah, I think Tatu's Poppy is just a little bit stronger than Gigo's. And we will see the Bard roam, and I think it matches up really well with the Poppy. Poppy has a lot of that extra movement speed to kind of move around the map, can kind of toe up with the Bard, and they both synergize quite well. Poppy shoves you into the wall. Bard then follows up with a Cosmic Binding that stuns you when it hits the wall. So I think it does make a lot of sense in terms of their own composition, why they would want to pair those champions up.
checking if this is right. Yes, it is. I can press the button Stinger 2, and it's the correct series. What a beautiful, beautiful day this is. Now I can minimize VMix for the rest of this game at the very least, and if it crashes, well, Twitch chat, let me know. I hope it doesn't. I think we're going to be fine. Luxu and Fury are going to kick things off with Tatu making his return to the Rift. Let's see how this ends up working out. The Poppy, as you said, moving into the jungle does actually, on this patch, provide a lot of power, whether it be in support or in the jungle position. The ganks are strong with this one, and I could see this working out very well for Furia. On the other side, Luxu have drafted themselves a pretty potent composition as well, with things like the Nefiri, the Rise, the Corki, and a basically immortal Cassante later in the game. It's Furia's job to be arriving at objectives first and to be claiming space that they can then give up on a retreat while they lay out poke.
Yeah, and especially, I think what I like here about the Poppy into, Fluxu's comp specifically, we talked about Fluxu wants to deny, or Fluxu wants to go in, and Furia very much wants to deny that. And Fluxu has some tools, especially with that Nefiri, to kind of force and engage, with the Cassandre to force and engage. And the Poppy can aid to shut those down with the steadfast presence. So I think it's an interesting draft. It is going to come down to execution. I don't think either team absolutely won the draft in my eyes. There are some glaring weaknesses for both compositions.
And we want to really keep track of the weaknesses, especially around execution, as we get later into this game. For the start of it, these comps are pretty even, especially in the first couple of levels. There's not a major advantage, and I'm including the top lane in that. I know a lot of people pick Jace for the lane advantage, but as you say, you really want to invest in Jace for him to get ahead, and without Tatu actually coming towards the top lane, Zothvi should be fine. And I say should.
Yeah, I think Zothvi versus Gigo is actually a more even matchup than it might seem on paper. Gigo has not been at the top of his form, honestly, this split so far, and I think Zothvi has been performing higher than we might expect. From someone, it was the only real change that Fluxu made, but it has made them, in my opinion, look like a much stronger team. Even though their record doesn't quite reflect that, I do think they are a little bit stronger. Gigo taking that early advantage, but this is what you expect, has the range advantage here at level 1. We're seeing a bit of trading back and forth. The mid lane especially is getting spicy.
Dude, Cody is skill checking Tuts and coming out on top easily. That is going to force a back out of Tuts and likely a teleport to go with it. As Cody dings level 3, he now has a much easier time on the Rise, just being willing to take these skill checks is the best thing that I can really think of here, and force Tuts to reconsider how easy this lane is going to be.
Yeah, Syndra usually doesn't have much problem in the early game, and Rise obviously wants to scale. These guys have lightning fingers, man. Or maybe the CBLOL fans have the script. Have you considered that, Dia?
That's an interesting possibility. Are these seeded tweets?
These are pre-generated tweets.
Script writers exposed. As it is, bot lane gonna crash a wave, so there is an advantage here for IU and JoJo, especially with IU's Ezreal just running the lane this early on. Zothvi, of course, is gonna get his own lane dictated to by Guigo, with both junglers sitting around topside. Tatu could actually try and fight Peach for this Scuttle Crab. No lane priority for Furia. It is Fluxu that have it as the Rise is walking over, but Tatu just keeping Peach at bay for right now is going to let Tuts clear out some of the mid wave and then join this as well. We could see a very early skirmish happening on our screens at this moment, and of course, trying to deny Scuttle Crab against Syndra, that's not happening.
Yeah, he'll just pick it up, take it away. No real fight to be found, and I think Fluxu smartly recognizing that, hey, our top laner is very low. If they want to roam Gigo down and, force a fight, that they can absolutely do that. So they recognize their position is a little weak, will have to give up the space, and that means it's going to be a double scuttle for Tatu, and Tuts has kind of neutralized, yes, he's down the teleport, but he is now even on farm. He has neutralized that disadvantage he took early on. Now JoJo on the roam, Momochi as well. Everyone going into the jungle. Tatu's here, though, and he's ready to fight.
A lot of opening damage to Peach with Momochi here. This duel is pretty even, but Ayu changes that narrative. Momochi gonna have to head out of the jungle real quick. Jojo's still waiting on a stun, and a nice sidestep from Ayu. Makes sure that he's not hit by the Zenith Blade and gets to continue dealing out the damage. Moving back down to bot lane. It's no harm, no foul for both teams. A little bit of damage dealt here and there, but nothing that both Fluxu and Furia can't recover from. Tatu gets to keep going with his jungle, and Fluxu, they fished for something, but didn't come up with any.
Yeah, they fished, but they didn't break their rod. It's still intact. They can keep fishing if they want. Everyone continuing to kind of go back about their business. We do have a dragon in 15 seconds. I am expecting, with the way that the jungle is cleared out so far, that Poppy is going to continue up into that top side, meaning that they're a little faster on the rotation. You can see that Nefiri just getting back out to that jungle now. They might be able to get back and set up for that dragon a little earlier. But look at the mid lane. Puts is rather low.
That was brutal. Fortunately, haven't seen Jojo bot lane for ages. Ayu has just been farming up on his own. Got a CS advantage and everything. Very self-sufficient on this Ezreal, which is nice. Because Tuts needs the help, if I'm honest. Even in the 1v2, Cody is still ghosting and stepping up to these two, and it's almost something that I'd like to see Tatu visit, which is awkward, because remember, Tatu's got to be spending time top lane. The advantage in top is non-existent right now. I know technical gold lead for Guigo, blah, 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 but Zothby is a melee champion, and he's keeping up with a Jace, which is not acceptable.
Now we have the engage there onto Ayu. Not a crazy amount of value to be found, but just a little bit of poke will force out one of those potions. Now we can see the junglers passing down to the bottom side. The dragon is up in everyone's sights. And it is immediately just Tatu going to start it up on his own.
As Tuts that can hover bot side river with a control ward near this mid lane as well. Fury get to keep pushing in the bot lane, and this is a no contest dragon. Luxu know that it's going to be really difficult to deal with the push that the Ezreal has early on, and so it just makes more sense to give up the first dragon. It is not that high value for them. For top lane, we are going to get a trade of ult for flash. Guigo, perhaps too respectfully, flashing away from Zothby in that moment.
Recognizes, that the damage is there, but maybe did not need to expend the flash, but by flashing away, does get the grasp proc in trade, and now is very healthy, can stay in the lane. So Zothby's going to go ahead and, back, and Gigo's going to go ahead and continue to just push in this next wave and get another shove in to that top lane tower.
Now you sound like me. I'm sitting in top lane going, no, it's okay. I traded my flash for a grasp proc, so it's actually worth it.
Listen, I've been playing a lot of ARAM Mayhem, and if you aren't flashing for a Heartsteel stack, you're throwing. That's all I'm saying.
No, that's actually true. ARAM Mayhem do be like that. And you know what? If there's a game mode that mimics the CBLOL,
it's ARAM Mayhem. CBLOL Mayhem show match. When?
It would go pretty hard, I'm not gonna lie. Not entirely opposed to a little off-season event where we've got our players with the ARAM Mayhem for prize money, but TBD on that one. We'll schedule it as the season comes to a close, and we are still pretty far from that, with plenty of matches left to play, not just in the season, but even this weekend, or Monday, as it's extending even into then. With Void Grubs up, Furia are thinking about it, but Fluxu are actually starting it. Teleport in from Furia to try and deny this. Ayu now with the much longer range than Cody can keep him from entering the river. Bow's roaming down from the top side. First Void Grub gonna get smited away by Fluxu, and that may be all that they want with Tuts having come in. We're trying to decide, are we fighting? Are we taking the Void Grubs? What's happening right now? At least one is going to go down. First blood going over to Guigo, and the second working out for Furia as well, killing both Peach and Momochi in a matter of seconds, and picking up the Void Grubs with it. It is 2 Void Grubs over to Furia, a victory there, but also 2 champions that they picked up to the tune of a 1,000 gold lead and double neutrals.
Yeah, they get the neutrals. They're very happy about that. And, I think it comes down to Guigo just playing a little bit better in that top river. He does, as Fluxu is trying to figure out, okay, where do we go? We're all balled up, but we don't have the angle in. What do we do? Momochi did not yet have the solar flare, I believe. So they're trying to figure out, how do we find this engage? And they do find, you can see here, eventually they're balled up. They see that Gigo's up here, and the flash Zenith Blade. Okay, hey, we can do something now, but it takes a little bit too long to kill Gigo. Something I think that went a little bit unnoticed was a great catch by JoJo's Tempered Fate to, separate one of the pack in and get it at free kill there. And so because of that, Gigo able to pick up first blood and buy a lot of space for the rest of his team just by kind of being a bit of a menace on his own.
I'd like to praise Momochi there as well. Even though Fluxu do lose the fight, that decisiveness is exactly what'll get Fluxu through in a late game situation. Because otherwise, Jace is going to become a problem, whether he's flanking or not. Sitting at arm's length away from you and forcing you to take these extended poke battles is exactly what the Furia composition thrive on, and Momochi clearly is in the right mindset on Leona to be dealing with it. Just say no and flash on them. Go for the engage, because that is exactly how Fluxu will end up winning these fights if they are going to. The rest of Furia, very clearly ahead right now, are going to have the advantage in that moment, especially if we fight in the next couple of minutes. Around this second dragon, perhaps, might not be the time that Fluxu want to take an engagement with Furia.
Now, I know that we're probably building a locket here for the Leona because of all the poke and yada yada. I would love to see an Imperial Mandate Leona get extra cooldown on your Q, E, and R, and then anytime you apply any of those, you get a massive increase to your damage if your composition needs to go in and burst people out, which I feel like Fluxu's does, because like you said, they are going to lose these extended trades, these extended poke battles. Then, that item allows you to do that. Here's the first pick. They immediately find one in the mid lane.
Tasha, what are we holding this ultimate for? He lets that thing spin out. I mean, not that it would have saved JoJo. That guy was pretty dead, but...
And I think that's why, because if you let it spin all the way through, you do get a significant portion of the cooldown refunded to you. And so by, recognizing, hey, I'm not going to be able to save JoJo, I'm just going to keep my ultimate. I don't want to use it on nothing, and I would like to keep it for the next fight here around the dragon, perhaps.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's hope it comes into use around the dragon. Fluxu clearly want to contest this, and JoJo is back. Are you ready for the contest as well? And out comes the hammer, actually making a numbers advantage happen by ejecting Bao. Tatu slams Momochi into the wall, but loses the dragon as Peach gets away with it and sneaks over the wall himself. Kill for Drake. Not what Furia wanted, not why they were there. Suppose not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, there are worse outcomes that could have occurred, but like you said, they wanted that dragon. It would have been nice to take that 2-dragon advantage. Really well played from Peach to kind of just sneak in, do what he needs to do. Now, Bao getting good damage onto Ayu. We are seeing the Corki start to come in, is almost at that first item. As you can see, this is where the breakpoints start to come in. You can see Peach has the Cyclosword, Tatu has, his Sundered Sky, and the junglers and the mid laners are all getting ready to start doing pretty significant amounts of damage as we come into the mid game here. And that means that the carries have to be a little bit more careful because they're not going to be particularly healthy. A good pick to start. They just, have the vision advantage. And then, like you said, he just lets the ult spin out.
Which ends up being worth it.
Then he can utilize it onto Bao. Get that numbers advantage. Bye-bye, Corki. Corki can really fly. He's in a plane. Look how far he can go. But like you said, it is Peach just walks back in. Whoop, smite, walks away. And Tatu had the smite up, so it is just a good play from Peach there. Just outhands him just that little bit.
You know what, guys? It's okay. Tatu's still getting reacquainted with the whole jungling thing. It's been a second for him, and Tuts as well, maybe getting reacquainted with what it's like to be ganked by a Realm Warp. That is a very, very dead Syndra, and a nice, clean, no-cost play from Fluxu. They expend an ult that's on a pretty low cooldown, all things considered, and get an extra couple hundred gold. I have no problems with that.
An extra couple hundred gold to Cody. He has picked up all 3 kills here for Fluke. So you can see he has the Rod of Ages now already stacking and is most of the way done with his tier. He's going to have a significant amount of mana, which matters for Mr. Rise, as he will just continue to pump out more and more damage with that scaling. And yeah, 3 kills to the good for him. 1,000 gold lead in the mid lane. He's going to be a significant threat. Talk about those mid laners starting to pump out damage. If he can lock down any single member of Furia, including Tatu on a tank champion in the Poppy. I put that in heavy air quotes because nothing is a tank champion in front of the Rise.
Yeah, the Cody is pretty far accelerated, and I mean, he can become immortal. It is going to be a matter of what itemization he chooses to go, especially around 3rd item. I was talking about this earlier today, but especially when choosing to go defensive versus offensive, a lot of Rises can get caught in the trap of going for Zanya's instead of just straight up rushing something like an Actualizer that not only lets you deal more damage, but also actually makes you tankier if you are just trying to survive in the long term. Speaking of that, something that Peach is unable to do. That was a chain of CC that was not stopping anytime soon, and Furia, having picked up the jungler, have never had an easier Rift Herald.
A really nasty engage there from Tatu, like perfectly executed by the Poppy. He's able to, steadfast presence in, get that knock up, and just immediately execute from there. So like I said, they'll have the numbers advantage. They won't have a jungler. So Fluxu is not even going to think about contesting. This is another neutral objective the way of Furia. And this is one of the better ones, in my opinion. I still think Shelly gets so much value in this day and age.
Did they pick up the eye? Or did they not pick up the eye? They didn't pick up the eye.
They did not pick up the eye. They're pinging it now.
They pinged it.
Go back and ping it. Pick it up.
It's okay, guys.
Oh.
Tatu, it's his first couple of jungle games back.
He forget it sometimes,
This guy was playing, I don't know, CS:GO or whatever people play.
He's playing
this is
too much.
This is a riot. It's not a riot.
Too much
broadcast.
Valorant.
Legally, this is not a riot broadcast. However, he was playing Valorant.
If Riot asks what we said, he was playing Riftbound.
Yes, that's a good one. Riftbound is really hot right now.
Dude, I have been wanting to get into it, but my local game store has no cards. They have the Vi precon, and that's it.
Okay, I'm going to say something
cool.
that might be a little inflammatory in chat, and I want you to know that this is with all love to anybody who wants to play Riftbound, because I like playing Riftbound. What I don't understand, as somebody who grew up averse to spending money, is why you would spend money on Riftbound when you can print the cards and use proxies, and they do the same thing, because you're just playing with other people. Can you explain this to me? It's okay if you can't. It's okay if it's just people like having nice things. That's fine. I don't understand.
I don't know what it is. There's a certain materialism that I like having the actual cards. I am not averse to proxies, but there are certain groups of people who are like, oh, you can't proxy cards and play with us. We'll stop worrying about that. We'll start worrying about the fight as another pick from Tatu finds another slam into the wall and a flash forced out of Bao, as otherwise he would have been tempered, faded in the middle of the lane, and probably fated to die soon thereafter. And Furia are finding their footing here after some early stumbles against Fluxu. They now have themselves a significant gold lead and are going to take this mid lane turret to boot.
IU, unfortunately, would play for this with his life. I like to believe that he saw that coming and decided that it was worth it. Because ultimately, I think it was. Taking the mid lane tower, absolutely the trade you want to take. Long term, you do want to think about the dragon as well, and clear that Cody, at the very least, has thought about that. Tatu should be able to get out, but gets stunned one too many times by Momochi, who gets his revenge for being slammed into the wall earlier. And now, there's a potential dragon on the table for Fluxu. Furia trade that away for a mid lane and a top lane tower. And yet, based on how they were playing, I don't think that they were opting into this trade.
No, I don't think that is what they wanted to do. Again, I think Furia wanted another dragon, and they kind of got caught off guard by another Realm Warp gank. As you'll see here, they get this initial pick that barely catches Momochi there. good play there. But as they continue to play forward, we're really going back. We're showing the Tatu gank earlier. This stun, yeah.
Is
All
this
right.
Is this
Tatu
like a
highlight reel?
of why Fluxu hates Tatu so much? A story in 2 clips.
Well, they do find, with the Realm Warp in, they do find Tatu all alone and are able to pick him before that dragon. Ultimately, they still, Furia still finds something on the map, but I don't think it's what they wanted. It does disrupt the way they wanted to play a decent amount. The ultimate does come out from Momochi, but it's a relatively short cooldown. Not like the Baron is going to be taken off rip by any of these more modern compositions. Ayu bit on his own. Ooh, but very smart, very heads-up play from Ayu to step into the Tempered Fate there, knowing that Peach would dodge it. Very clever use of his friend's ultimate. My goodness.
And with Furia having found that pick onto Peach at the 20-minute mark, if there is a team audacious enough to do this, it is Furia. Baron gonna be their focus for right now. Like I say, this takes a certain amount of audacity. Fluxu want to contest it. On paper, they should be able to. It's a 4v5, but still, even a stall on this Baron would be enough. Zothby gonna start heading in and trying to do it, but Tatu knocks him out, and that means Baron is absolutely going to Furia. With Momochi dead, it's even worse. It's 2 picks and a Baron going to Furia at 20 minutes.
Yeah, they lost Peach, which opens up the opportunity to get the Baron in the first place. But then, they try to stall. They feign the Realm Warp in. Hey, I'm going to teleport all our guys into the back line, but no one comes through. Furia does respect it, gets ready to pounce on the Realm Warp. No one there. They knock away Zothby. And I wasn't even looking at Momochi. I didn't even see how he got caught. I assume that Toots just caught him with a Scatter of the Week or some such. And when you are playing Leona, you just aren't that tanky. Did not opt for the Locket as I had thought. Opted for the Zeke's Convergence, which, yes, does give you good resistances, will give you a little bit extra damage on your engages. But I'm not sure that's the itemization I would have liked to see in this particular matchup. Either fully lean into being as defensive as possible so you can buy a lot of time for your team to follow up, or fully lean into something offensive. Again, Imperial Mandate is an item you can build.
This guy is selling Imperial Mandate Leona so hard that I think you've got something invested in Imperial Mandate. I think you bought Imperial Mandate stock and are being paid off by Big Mandate.
By big item shop.
Yeah. What's the shop owner's name? He has a name, right? Or is it just shopkeeper? I'm pretty sure.
Well, I don't actually know the shopkeeper lore on Summoner's Rift. My bad. I know the ARAM shopkeeper lore. They have more lore. They actually talk to you. Summoner's Rift guys don't say anything.
No, you're right. They don't. I looked it up in this time. Not officially named. I'm sure there's a fan name out there somewhere, but
we'll let chat name him. Chat. What's the
shadow organization of shopkeepers that run Summoners?
Listen, all I'm saying is I played it. I played it with my buddy. We played an experimental Kaisa build with a Ludens and a Cyclosword as items 2 and 3 to just go full burst, and then I played Leona with Imperial Mandate and Bloodsong, and it's an extra 15% damage on top of the massive burst. And I think between the two of us, we had like 18 kills in like 20 minutes. It was pretty
Sounds
fun.
like you're really fun to queue normals into. I'm really happy.
We were testing tech, okay? We're testing tech, all right? So listen.
Well, I'm glad you got to test it, because now we know what Momochi's missing out on. If only he had built Imperial Mandate, perhaps Fluxu would be winning this game. But as much as I like to make fun of that, I do seriously, Furia are playing this very well. This is exactly what I was hoping for when looking at the Fluxu Furia matchup coming into this weekend, was seeing a Furia that, as I said, I believe had not really performed anywhere near their ceiling during the course of this CBLOL season just yet, and right now are reaching much closer to that than they have in the past couple of weeks. Yes, this is not a flawless game. It has been a bit silly here and there, but Furia and the way that they have been playing with sometimes tactical and sometimes just unbridled aggression is exactly what you expect as a Furia fan when you tune into the CBLOL.
Yeah, you're expecting, some very, audacious,
We
some very
are
aggressive plays.
We are all going in the realm warp to kill Guigo. I need the clips now. Where is the story? The 2-clip story of what Guigo did to make Fluxu hate him so much.
Everybody hopped in the realm warp, and I don't think it's a matter of hate. I think it's a matter of necessity. This gives them a third dragon, and so despite being down 6,000 gold, they have something to play for. They're only one dragon away from Soul, and if they need to get caught in these extended fights, something like the Chemtech Drake could be actually incredibly helpful, giving them that extra damage resistance. The lower they get, they can still engage and not have to worry about immediately getting popped. Just a really heads-up play from Cody, who has been on it all game. We talked about this at the beginning of the season, and we essentially talk about it every week, every time Fluxu plays. But the team goes as Cody goes, man. He is such an engine for their team.
And I am really enjoying the look from both teams now. We were just talking about how Furia has been, especially for Furia fans, a very welcome sight to see. Watching the way that Fluxu, headed by Momochi at the start, and then by Cody, just now as we crashed 25 minutes, have been extremely willing to punish Furia as well. We'll take another look at this as a little bit of map awareness to add in here, but they see Guigo teleporting and say, no. We remember how the flank went earlier. We remember when you killed 2 of us and got the Void Grubs. This time, you die first.
Yeah, they target him out quick, and this is the problem with the Jace compared to a more traditional top laner. If he was maybe a Scion, he buys a lot of time for his team to respond and do something crazy, but Jace, not a tank. That guy does a lot of damage, but can't really take it nearly as well, has to play a lot of spacing. And you'll see that he was unable to deal with, every member of Fluxu collapsing on him at once. And now, taking a little look in at the state of the game, the big item breakpoint I'm seeing is I see that Cody has just picked up that actualizer. Like you had mentioned earlier, it allows a lot of extra damage. Perhaps a fight coming through here. Peach on the flank has to be a little careful.
And an even nicer heroic charge. Tachu gonna find even more CC, and a big tempered fate is opened up to mixed results. Fluxu do dodge a lot of damage as a result of it, but Furia get the perfect setup to continue the fight. That is a double kill already grabbed for IU, makes it a triple, and with Baron up, Furia could do that. Realistically, we're taking the base.
Yeah, Furia are going to send some members back, so they're going to focus right now on taking out as much of the base as they can. I imagine they can get 2 inhibitors here, the mid lane and the top lane inhibitor at least. They do have quite some time. It is just Zothby and Momochi for the time being. They're not even going to worry about the other inhibitor. They're looking at these base turrets. If they can find a pick here, this could be game.
Tuts took the reset because Furia want to end the game here. He came back with a pot, popped it, is the strongest that he's going to be in all this game because this game is only lasting 27 minutes. Almost 28. We didn't quite make it there, not with Furia, playing like they are back in form. That is exactly what you want to see with Tatu returning to the Rift and a great start in this series.
Yeah, a good start for Furia. They look
Great,
entirely back on.
Great SuperBren.
Okay. My apologies. How about I'll double down? An excellent start.
Oh.
A superb start for Furia as they are back in form. And, like I said, this is what you want out of the composition. They're able to find a lot of the, spacing that they wanted. They played out the game plan just about as you'd expect, had some hiccups here and there, but were able to, play through forward very well. And I think with this accelerated pace of play, played around their, spikes. Ezreal spikes at that 2-item mark, is able to play very well in the mid game. They had a lot of mid game potential and didn't get to that late game where someone like Cody's Rise would have been unstoppable. The actualizer only just picked up before he perished for the final time.
Yeah, I mean, Cody was playing a really good game. I think a lot of Fluxu played quite a good game. There is a world where I think we can sit here and criticize Peach's Nefiri. I think that was probably the biggest, or the champion that had the least impact during this game. We could also give some of that to the Cassante for Zothby, but I'm a little more hesitant to criticize the tank because the team was losing the game. Ultimately, I don't think that Fluxu played this matchup poorly. I think Furia played this matchup well, and that gives me a lot of hope for Game 2 and a potential Game 3.
Yeah, I mean, Fluxu, it feels like this is the thing we say about them every week, right? Like, they're good. We know they're good. We can tell that they're good, but they're always so close and just can't quite get it over the line. So we need to see a little bit more out of them. Yes, Furia played very well, but Fluxu, now it's your turn. If you want to keep this series going, if you want a chance to even out your record, you have to step up. You have to be the ones playing that good game. So we'll see if they can do that.
Yeah, very, very stressful, I'm sure, for the Fluxu roster, but they looked collected even until the end of that game. I didn't see a whole lot of extremely messy play out of them. What I saw was, again, a Furia that was playing very, very well. So, excited to see what Game 2 holds. A reminder that this is a battle for the 4th place slot right now, when the Furia are currently leading. But Fluxu definitely demonstrating that they've got the pieces on the board to make something happen in the next game. We're going to take a very quick break, and we will be back with game number 2 of Fluxu versus Furia. manually turning down the music once again because Dia still has not figured out remote triggers on VMix, and that is good. That is all fine because music is not what we're here to talk about, although I'm sure that we could do that on the podcast, Bren. For right now, we've got the second match of Fluxu and Furia, one that Furia came out on top of pretty handily in game number 1, albeit not without Fluxu biting back at them pretty severely during the mid game. We saw out of Momochi, out of Cody with the Realm Warp, pretty aggressive plays to shut down Guigo, and yet Furia persisted, and yet Furia kept, courtesy of Tatu, slamming people into walls and deleting them.
Yeah, it was a really well executed use of the champions they had drafted. We'll have to see if Fluxu can actually take a real chunk out of someone, or if those bites they were throwing were just a chihuahua nipping at the heels of a much bigger, scarier dog. As we get into the draft here, we do have Furia banning out Aatrox as the first ban, an interesting prio ban to say the least. On the other side, Fluxu banning out the single most prioed champ in the game right now in that lock.
Yeah, the lock ban certainly catching a lot of attention, seeing a lot of priority towards Orianna globally that I, thank you, was expecting to see mirrored here because CBLOL has not exactly been an exception, so good to see that removed by Fluxu, especially with the fact that Furia already took game 1, so Fluxu are on the back foot, whether they like it or not, needing to make a recovery in this game, and a Jarvan is a fantastic start. Jarvan and Vi, very heavily prioritized on this patch. On the other hand, so are Lucian Melio.
Yeah, Lucian Melio has been seeing a bit of a resurgence recently. If you look at the stats, you can kind of see why. The idea is pretty simple, at least in my opinion. Everyone's been picking mages, and the mages, they hit these early spikes. That's why you're picking them, so that you can, duel it out in the mid game. And they're usually pretty safe in lane. But Lucian Melio, one, have the sustain to eat a lot of that poke, but two, have the ability to self-engage in, and they hit their spikes earlier than the mages do. Lucian is meant to just fight at one item, hell, a component. He can just go in and delete you if he feels the need. So him being this kind of answer to the current meta means that you have to have some level of response, and the other side is that we're going to pick an equally lane-dominant AD carry and an enchanter to boot.
This is the bot lane's going at each other because they don't want to play. I wanted to flip off the camera, but I couldn't do that because we're a family-friendly broadcast. So that was my closest childlike equivalent. Furia don't want to let Fluxu play the game, and Fluxu, they've got the same feeling. I think Azinzao here does make a lot of sense. We see this as the response to Jarvan quite a bit, and is a great team fighting and skirmishing champion early on. Generally, still less powerful than Jarvan, but it really depends on what situations you put Azinzao in it, and especially against a Caitlyn Karma, I can see him getting a lot of value, because if you are on the Cataclysm with Jarvan, chances are Caitlyn Karma are out of range of you if you do end up popping Crescent Guard, and you can take hugely reduced damage.
Yeah, that Caitlyn wants to play from a decent range, being able to utilize the power of that champion, almost always going Hex Optics first, getting additional range when they get a takedown. And Xin Zhao is going to try and turn that into his advantage, dodging out on a lot of damage and then engaging from a distance when he has, the follow-up to go with it. We can see the bans now in the mid lane, and Annie is a priority ban here for Fluxu. And I wonder if that has something to do with the way they feel the need to play their specific composition, because not necessarily a super high priority champ so far this patch, at least.
Annie is also something that Momochi can deal with on Melio if it is the only threat onto your Lucian. Melio can do actually some of the most into Annie than he can almost any mid laner. So really curious to see why this was banned out. Is this truly like a bow or bust composition that Fluxu are going with? Are they pushing a bunch of resources into this Lucian and then just hoping for the best? What's the strat here that makes Annie such a good ban? Because otherwise, I've seen Annie as a lot of utility, but not a lot of damage, and that has hurt a lot of teams when picking her. Fluxu are going to end up going with an Ambessa, a composition that wants to get up in your face, and more specifically in IU's face, because that's why you pick Ambessa, is to get to the back line and say, I don't care about anybody else, I'm killing your AD carry.
Yeah, and we'll have the option there, lots of follow-up if they try and dissuade that follow-up. Obviously, Milio can cleanse a lot of that CC, so there's going to be options here. Interested to see how Fluxu plays this one out. Overall, they have a pretty strong composition. The Volibear, that is an interesting adaptation here from, I assume, Guigo in the top lane. I believe that's our first Volibear of the split, either pick or ban, Dia.
I think it is as well. I mean, I want to double check, but you already have the page up, right? From when we were checking on the Kane earlier? Because I think
I'm on it. I'm pulling up the Volibear.
I'm gonna buy you some time to get me the Volibear stats, because I also agree. Haven't seen that champion in a little while. Also didn't expect to see this champion for a little while. I know that in solo queue, yes, Volibear still has his moments, can still terrorize lobbies. In a competitive setting, we don't see a lot of it. And paired up with a Galio Furia, I've got a lot of beef to chew through. Something that doesn't necessarily stop Ambessa, but if Volibear is able to counter and shut her down in lane, we could see this become a winning strategy. Fluxu, dealing with their options right now, end up going with an Ahri, which is a generically strong pick, doesn't really address a lot of what Fury are throwing at them, which is, from what I'm seeing, a protect the IU composition. We were wondering if it was going to be bow or bust for Fluxu. It's not. They've got an Ambessa. They've got now Cody on the Ahri and Peach. This is very mixed damage and a relatively squishy comp, all things considered, especially when you look at Furia and go, how are we going to kill these guys?
Yeah, it's going to be pretty tough. I do have the Volibear stats up right now. It's been played twice this split in our tier 1 regions. Once in the LEC by Wunder, who played it in the Giant X versus SK game. His opponent was an Ambessa, and he managed to go deathless through that match, utilizing the more like offensive, like wave clear focused build. He was utilizing the static shiv into the Dusk and Dawn to just kind of clear through waves, stay very healthy, and then just kind of be generally a team fight threat. And it was also played by Big Dokes, Mr. Dokla, against FlyQuest in the LCS this split, and he utilized a very AP focused build, had Riftmaker, Dusk and Dawn, and a Zanya's to boot. So
was that not also
generally more
Ambessa?
that one was against an Olaf in his lane.
Huh. Oh, that seems worse. I can definitely see this as a counter to Ambessa. That, like, just on paper, works. But as a generic pick, I don't know.
We'll have to see. It
It
looks like he's leaning more offensive than he is tank, as he can kind of played in the past where he's a little bit more bruisery, a little bit like more playing around being difficult to kill. It looks like it's a lot more of an offensive Volibear, so it's an extra damage threat if they can get it going in the top side. I'm not super familiar with the pick myself, I have to say, so I am interested to see how Furia pilot it to get out onto the Rift, though. It is a 3-man bottom side here. They are not going to just send their support to the top at the start of the game. It is Emilio. He's not really one of the champs that likes to do that.
Well, having gotten even the draft off to a pretty crazy start, let's see what Furia can do in this second game. The certainly took Fluxu by surprise in the first one, getting aggressive early, often, and constantly throughout the game. This composition seems like it'll be able to do much the same thing, albeit one that is a little bit more focused around letting their AD carry succeed. Barrier popped early by IU, lets them have a actually very nice trade where Bao is getting quite low. Furia, don't turn this into a kill, but with a trade of summoners that ultimately favors them, still have IU running this lane.
Yeah, they get a lot of damage down there, and they're continuing to just pressure and get more poke down. You can see it just continuing to come through. Very difficult to deal with on the side of Fluxu. And that's something I want to say is that Lucian has been kind of he's been seeing this priority because he does fairly well into some of the mages. I think he struggles into the Cassiopeia, but obviously that was banned out as priority. But he's been really struggling into other AD carries this season. He has a pretty poor win rate when he's playing up against other marksmen. So I'm wondering if Fluxu kind of recognized that, and that's why they brought in the Ahri as well as the Ambessa to have carries in other lanes, because Bao looks like he's going to have some tough times in this lane.
The Caitlyn lane, Not my favorite as a Melio player either. You just sort of watch your AD carry get poked for a very long time and eventually hope that you're able to find a duel, especially with the Lucian. That is what you're hoping for. Remember the ward on the top side that Guigo placed? Did actually end up spotting Peach starting on top side, so he knows that he's completely free to proxy this wave and will gladly do so rather than engaging with Zothvi in any tangible way. Jojo gets to move on forward, and with that, we've got two lanes that are doing pretty well for Fury, which is nice because Tuts not having the best time.
Yeah, not overall doing particularly well in the mid lane here. I mean, it is kind of just what to be expected out of an early Galio, right? Doesn't really have the tools to do anything to Ahri. Ahri has a significant range advantage and can poke out much, much nicer. So he just kind of has to weather the lane as it stands. Did Tatu didn't smite that away, did he? No, he did not. Okay, I just saw the flag come over the wall.
And it nearly killed it, but no smite to come through for it. However, with Fluxu picking up the crab, they do try and get a little fancy with it. Down in the bot lane, doesn't quite work out, and Ayu and Jojo are able to back away. Actually, flash forced out of Jojo with maybe Peach overextending a little bit. Trap is going to come through. Ayu not grabbing this kill just yet, as Peach should have enough healing and shielding to live. Ayu considers flashing for it, but thinks better of it, and thank God he does. The rest of Fluxu are able to get away. Ayu gets to keep pushing in this wave, and we are all good.
It continues to buy a lot of time, though. This kind of dominance here. Ayu in the bot lane is now up about 10 farm. It's essentially almost 2 waves of farm that he is up, and he continues to bully any member of Fluxu he comes across. That slowed down Peach significantly, and now you can see because of that, Tatu's in his jungle. Tatu's on his Krugs.
Actually manages to pick up the big one. Does have to let all the small ones go, but this buys enough time for Guigo to push in and take a tower plate himself as well. Getting a little bit ahead in terms of the gold just because of the tower push that he's been able to have. Guigo, remember, proxying early. Should even be able to do that again should he wishes. As they just saw Peach topside. They know where he's going to be in 2 minutes. There's just not a lot of choices that you have on Jungle Dispatch.
Yeah, you kind of your route is your route. You can't really deviate from it too much. And we're gonna see a lot of attention being paid to the mid lane right now. Tuts having to deal with Ahri teleporting back in, having to deal with the Milio and the Xinjiao nearby as well. I do want to call something out to a bit of the runes side of things. You can see the Storm Raider Surge on Tuts, not necessarily uncommon rune, but something to pay attention to is that if he can chunk out an enemy with a more damage-focused Galio, you can see he has the Dark Seal after this back. Might be able to get some extra speed. We can see Peach unspotted so far. Jojo going to place a ward, could get caught here.
Level 6 for Guigo, but Zothvi dings it as well, making this positioning under tower pretty dangerous. Out comes the public execution and counter ult from Guigo. Well played and a good, like we saw a lot of last game, skill check from Zothvi makes it a little too dangerous for Guigo to stick around, even with Tuts dinging 6. Galio now enabled to make a couple plays around the map. May have to make one towards the bot side as Tatu finds Cody, and Cody looks for the charm on Ayu, connecting it ultimately, but Tatu wants a little bit more. No level 6 on this Jarvan, no way to guarantee that the ult lands from Galio should Tuts, as he was roaming down, want to try and confirm. And so ultimately everyone backs out once again. It's 6 minutes. We've had a couple plays on both sides, looking for kills, trying to get advantages with the damage, but still, no actual kills to have come in just yet. No first blood drawn on either side.
Yeah, no first blood drawn, like he said. We are seeing Guigo get the better of this top lane so far, up a significant amount of farm in the bot lane. Like we said, Ayu having a pretty decent game so far himself. I think the flash away from Momochi there was just fearing that the flag and drag might come back up soon and knowing that he was taking a little bit too much damage. And if it did come through, he was going to get cooked, I believe is the term. So, a good charm there from Cody. Cody has been playing very well so far in this series, even through the first game. He is down gold as it stands. Tuts being able to kind of weather the storm, but he's getting good damage in. So something to play through perhaps for Fluxu if they can get this Ari rolling. Maybe could provide a lot of value for the future team fights.
Cody really wants this plate, but Tut's sacrificing his health bar to make sure that that doesn't happen. Doesn't have the teleport to get back to lane, and that should mean that the plate finally goes over to Cody, but we'll see what the future holds, as right now, Tuts pings that he's sticking around, and Tatu, having just hit level 6 with Cody's ult still on cooldown, could get involved in this, could end up fishing for a kill in the mid lane. Cody picks up the tower plate. Tuts survives once again. No play going to be had, but I kind of wish they'd gone for it because Fluxu, they are playing their lanes quite strongly. Bao and Momochi free to step up now. Even Zothi's having a fine time in his own solo lane. And with the Dragon having spawned a few minutes ago, with the Void Grubs coming up soon, Fluxu will be able to convert this all over the map.
Yeah, Fluxu is starting to pick up some advantages here. It's taken them a second to kind of get into the game, but they are the first ones to the Dragon. You can see Peach there on the map has decided to start it up, has it about halfway down, and Tatu's not on his way, just clearing his Krugs. I don't believe knows that his opponent is on that Dragon, not really able in a position to contest regardless. So that will be first over, and now Toots in a dangerous position, barely dodges the charm, and I believe it's going to be the Grubs next in Fluxu's sights because they're doing quite well in the top lane.
There's no reason for them not to go for it. At this moment, Fluxu are very strong, and Furia don't seem to be able to match that as Guigo feels that he can, going toe-to-toe with Zothby up on the top side. Takes a little bit too much damage, though, and has to back away before Cody makes his ultimate robe up. There is not a ward in the river for Furia, but wisely, Guigo does at least smell that coming. 9 minutes into the game, nearly 10, still no kills having happened. Fluxu, I have to say, feeling like this favors them right now. A slower game where they're able to pick up a couple of neutral objectives, where Furia don't have the chance to accelerate through the early lane advantage that Bot was supposed to have. Should turn into a mid game where around 1 item spikes, Fluxu are, I think, straight up stronger than Furia.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Like you said, at those 1 item spikes, they do start to get very strong. Like I said, Lucian spikes very early, is very good at 1 item. Caitlyn, I mean, is good with the Hex optics, but does start to fall off towards that middle of the game. Caitlyn has a very kind of interesting power pattern where just the innate stats of her character make her very strong in the lane. Just the extra range makes her a good lane bully. But like most marksmen, she actually wants to scale up later into the game. So she's actually considerably weaker than you would expect in the mid game. And that is where, Bao is going to be very, very strong. See if they can find something here.
Cody's got ult. That's 1. And it looks like getting the singular Spirit Rush is going to be just fine. Fluxu looking for a little bit more as Cody actually goes over the wall with Peach here. Now numbers are even. Tatu's got Cataclysm though, locks 2 into it, and the ult gets interrupted from Tuts, so no knock going to come through off of this. Peach with the hero play, and Cody tries to go for one himself, but does not land the charm. Peach still in the front lines, still looking for a little bit more, has Momochi backing him up from an insane distance because Momochi is literally a breath away from death. And again, we'll finish another play. We are post 10 minutes, and no one has died.
I think it's funny. We sometimes we get a lot of games where nothing happens, and it's not. It's the nothing ever happens meme. You get the guy with the shirt that says nothing ever happens and post it on Twitter. But that's not been this game. Things are happening across the map. Both teams are just playing at a very high level. Now the tower dive to come through.
We go and CC'd up, but does not take another tower shot. He walks this out, and even as Cody comes up top lane, Zothby should be able to escape. Spotted on vision. Cody thinks he's got this. No Spirit Rush left, but Guigo thinks better of finishing his back, and well done, Guigo. You wouldn't want to throw this weird pick by making a very obvious misstep.
That's the thing. Neither team has. That's what I was going to get to. Is that neither team made very obvious missteps. I think the reason that we have no deaths on both sides is not because neither team is doing nothing, but because both teams are trying to do things and it's being responded to very well. I think both teams are playing at a very high level right now.
Tatu wanted to try something again, but Fluxu quite respectful of JoJo's lockdown potential, of even the Karma's ability to set up a play from range. Momochi has Peach in his pocket and feels comfortable. It's one thing to pair a Lucian with Emilio, it is quite another to throw a Xin Zhao into the mix and say, well, now seriously, who are you killing? Remember, the Crescent Guard, IU can't do too much damage, but as it expires, maybe he can. First blood goes to Peach, and Furia can't answer back just yet. Touch shows up in the bush, finds Momochi, but with Cody on the way, who's actually going to get killed here? Momochi pops the ult, and it's Tuts that falls. Fluxu pick up 2 and look for another underneath the tower with Cody tanking one too many tower shots. He backs away. Fluxu go up 2-0, and we finally get first blood drawn at 12 minutes.
We get our first major misstep of the game, and it is Tatu going forward, using the flag and drag. Yes, he gets the engage, but his team is not there to follow up. The Crescent Guard means they can't pick off the the Xin Zhao either.
Bus?
It's Buskun, man. Don't worry about Buskun. It's the grand final. It's coming to the Arena Carioca 1. I can't pronounce that correctly.
You
I don't
remember
speak Portuguese, I'm
Carioca,
sorry.
the jungler? Same thing.
Yeah, it's his arena.
Yeah.
As
4x4 is going to kill me for forgetting this, but I'm pretty sure it means someone from Rio?
okay.
We'll check later.
As we see a replay here, yeah, Tatu just goes in and there's really not any follow-up to be had. The Crescent Guard allows Peach to dodge out on so much damage and keeps IU and JoJo at bay. Gigo going forward, though, this is a thing about the Volibear. This is why you pick it. You are going forward and you think, well, surely, he's so low, I'm going to get a kill, but he's never really low. Man, that's the thing I've learned about Volibear. If you think he's dead, he's not dead.
And he's about to have a much better time as well. First item complete and almost fully stacked up with the tier. Furia get to move into the top side and take away a few more plates, something that IU desperately needs. Despite picking Caitlyn, he really hasn't had access to hitting the tower that much and isn't getting as much value out of Caitlyn as you would hope for when picking it into Lucian Melio. Still very powerful in the late game. Still can work as a protect the president composition that Furia have gone for so far. Right now, these turret plates are doing IU a lot of good, even if they're coming at the cost of a dragon.
Yeah, they're going to give over the second dragon here and get some tempo elsewhere across the map, almost taking down that first tower. As we get into the mid game here, you talked about the itemization there. Gigo almost completed with that item. I am interested to see what he's building because it's already kind of gone off the beaten path in terms of what Volibear builds. He started with the Fimbulwinter, which is not standard. It's not a lot of tank Volibear right now. So I am wondering what he is going to build overall. We've seen a lot more Dusk and Dawn and a lot more offensive Volibear, especially like in the solo queue build. I feel like it's Dusk and Dawn, and then you go like the Navori Flicker Blade, and then you can just get a lot of resets and a lot of empowered auto attacks. But that's not what he's going for.
And I'm really glad he's not. As much as I would love to see it, it does seem like a Volibear that would be very quickly melted by Fluxu's immense amount of damage. Lots of bruisers and lots of ability to deal damage very quickly on the side of Fluxu. So Guigo, playing with that in mind and optimizing his build as such, has now completely stacked things up and is all the more powerful for it. Doesn't appear that Zothvi can really confidently match him in the side lane either, which is really the goal of the Volibear. No matter what build he's going, Guigo's plan was always going to be in this 1v1 with Zothvi. Yes, he may bring a little bit of value to the team fights later, and I mean, he's a top laner. We expect him to at some point, but it's really in the side lane where if he can keep Zothvi from being able to lane against him, Furia have already won.
Yeah. We're getting another culling coming out, just being used for a little bit of damage, but you can see the value of the karma finally, really shining through. A lot of that damage negated, able to sustain through that. We'll pick up the honey fruits and stay in the lane there for IU. And we're kind of waiting.
Momochi does get a bit of healing, but does not get to survive this. His teleport from Guigo was maybe a bit too much to secure his death, but definitely still works, doesn't stop him from taking him down. Fluxu should be able to get the bot lane tower in response. That is their first outer of the game. And Furia are trying to make a play themselves by using the teleport and bringing Tuts down here. Fluxu, caught on the wrong side of the rift, aren't going to be taunted, but are going to be bruisered out of existence. There is way too much health on Furia. Zothvi survives. Peach gets taken down by Ayu. The president finally shows up, and this time he has got the gun. Guigo flashes forward over the wall, looking for Cody. Is he immortal, or will he die here? Gets a little bit of lifesteal, and looks like he's getting away.
Jojo able to come in with a clutch shield, and there were some really interesting interactions there in that fight. A good opener from from Guigo, forces the Crescent Guard out of Peach, knocks him away because he did not challenge him, did not mark him. So you'll see here, when Guigo goes in, you see the start of this fight, he's going to drop the ultimate immediately, but gets knocked away by the Crescent Guard here. And that means he can't get all the value out of his ult. So it seems like a good start, but like you said, the health bars on Furia are just too high. They have the numbers advantage. They get in there, and Peach lives for quite a long time. I think if Peach had not, stayed alive for so long, it goes even worse for Fluxu. As it stands, he bought just enough time for his team to get away. But look how close Guigo gets here. Just gets enough shield between himself and the Karma and will get out. Very, very close.
Yeah, the health bars, they just don't move. And credit to the build from Guigo. Winter saves him there, which would not have been possible on another build. Sure, we can say that maybe Fluxu die with another build, but as it is, Furia win the fight, and that is going to be plenty for them. Cody once again stepping up for tower plates. And more importantly, the full tower, as it is one auto away from death. Tuts does not want to let it happen. Gets to play anti-mage in the bot lane. He's still taking punishment, but that's something that Galio kind of likes.
Whoa, okay. I didn't know Galio was like that. Whoa.
I felt the sentence completing, and I went, "Are you going to stop this again?" No, you're going to let them.
No, all right. As they will take up another tower. Fluxu finally pick up their first one of the game, but the pressure on the top side, like you said, this is the ultimate goal of the Volibear, just kind of be unmatchable in the side lane, has that passive to clear waves exceptionally quickly, even with a full tank build, doesn't need anything else to do it. Off.
We go right underneath it, takes a tower shot, he's fine. The rest of Fluxu do want to change that story. Remember, Zothvi looking for entrance into the backline, so Ayu's got to be careful when he's around. Cody gets stopped on his way up towards this play. Tower still low, and Ayu still needing to play respectfully as Zothvi gets into the Rift Herald, which should finally be able to take down this tower. Furia have to back away from it entirely, and it's the perfect timing for Fluxu, who have played very well this game, to turn that macro play into another dragon, into Soul Point.
Well, hold on, Dia. They might have something to say about it. Furia's here to contest now.
Looks for the steal, does not get it. Fluxu walk away with Soul Point. Or do they walk away? Guigo wants to stop it, and Peach is the target right now. That blast cone takes you a lot further on this rift, and Furia do in fact come up empty-handed.
Yeah, Furia come up empty-handed, and the control of the neutral objectives has been very good for Fluxu so far this game. The trades have looked like they're favoring Furia. They seem to look like they're doing so well in the fights. But like you said, Fluxu's macro positioning has been incredibly strong. They are always just a little bit ahead on the map, and that means they've got 2 towers as well as 3 dragons already. A very different game from the last one. We have a Chemtech Rift, which I think is going to be quite good for Fluxu, because we were wondering, man, how are they going to deal with these big health bars, these long extended fights? They just don't have the sustain, they don't have the tankiness to get through it. Well, now when they get low, they'll do a little bit extra damage and take a little bit extra damage. That could be quite helpful, but they have to secure the Dragon Soul to do that. They've got 4 minutes to set up, get around the map, and see what plays can be made. And by that time, Baron is a viable option for this Furia squad. So it's going to be kind of an interesting dance to see who gets the next big advantage on the Rift.
I mean, as this game goes on, I love to pick a team that I think is going to scale better. This game is really conditional. If IU is alive, Furia scale better. But Fluxu's composition is pretty good at killing IU. He has got to position like I don't know. What's somebody who knows a lot? Buddha? He's got to position like the Buddha. He has to have enlightened positioning. Because otherwise,
enlightened
there's no
positioning. Yeah, he has to become like a kensei. He must become a sword saint in order to. What's a gun saint? Is that a thing? Can any knowers tell me if
exists? A gun saint is the thing. I don't know what it's called, but it's got.
We got it.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to have
something or other.
He's gonna have to have like Marine Corps scout sniper level of play.
Yeah,
for IU to come out on top.
Is John Wick a gun sensei or is Indiana Jones a gun sensei? Because they're both good, but they vibe differently.
No, I think like in what I'm thinking of, I think like Gun Fu. Yeah, it's definitely John Wick. That's like the guy. He's good. But as it is the John Wick, the double pistol, it's IU or it's Bao that's coming forward. IU falls really low. Tatu on the flank.
Is
there more to find? Tatu thinks so.
He's taken enough damage. He's got to live through it. Guigo, playing frontline right now, has built Immortal Volibear, by the way. That's what we've determined the build is. This guy simply is not going to die, and my god, he is playing like it. The man is full HP under your tower, and Fluxu can do nothing to him.
They can't damage him. He has too much shielding between himself, the Fimbulwinter, and Jojo on the Karma. There's so much shielding at all times. They can't even start to hit the health bar, and the health bar itself is also massive. And on top of that, he's healing the whole way through because of Grasp and Unending Despair. A very tanky, kind of classic Volibear build. This is how you used to play him all the time, and I think they found the situation now. The Baron is low. Can we get a steal, perhaps?
Oh
Cody is the first to fall. Nothing to be found, and now it's Fluxu on the back foot.
Hold on a second. Guigo, not only does he not die, he kills you pretty quick, and it helps that the rest of Fury are there to back him up. They are deathballing like nobody's business, and now, with Baron in their hands, this looks a lot like Game 1. Furia get a single advantage, they turn it into Baron instantly, and are unlocked with the aggression they're able to put out on this map. Guigo gonna start things up by taking away the plate, but the real focus here is Dragon, up in under a minute. Fluxu do have Soul Point available to them, but this is an awkward point.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for them to contest the Dragon. We're going to take a look at how this fight starts, and it really, honestly, yes, part of it is how aggressive Guigo is, but Tatu kind of is very tenacious, continuing to press forward. Guigo then ults in. It's just so hard to kill a massive taunt there from the Galio. My goodness. And Cody tries to come in, tries to get some damage on the Tatu, but I don't know that was the correct play. Gets separated from the rest of his team, gets picked off far too easily, and now it is the rest of Fluxu that has to pay the price for that. They lose their tower in the mid lane. The Dragon is now up, coming onto the Rift right now. Fluxu wants to contest it, I'm sure, but I don't think they have the positioning to do so. It's already falling, already half health. And no, Fluxu is just going to find something else to do on the map, try and push out these side lanes.
No armor pen, no magic pen. No way you're killing Furious frontline right now, and Furious frontline is really all that Fluxu have been able to access. Cody gonna have to Spirit Rush once, twice. I was so excited about saying thrice, and he doesn't even have to. God dang it.
No uses of the word thrice. What comes after thrice? Quaice?
Quaice was exactly what I was thinking. Probably not Quaice is the answer to the question on everyone's mind. But is that the closest we're getting right now? Yeah.
And you saw it there, like, was able to hit multiple full combos there, proc the Electrocute, hit the Charm into both procs of the Orb of Deception, and it just really didn't matter. The damage was so negligible. And I think it's taking advantage of the way people like to play right now because of, the current state of builds, the current state of the meta. There's not a lot of full tanks running around, and so the builds are very optimized for doing these fast, quick trades with squishy champions, but
That's not the draft Furia have. And so if you don't adjust, if you don't adapt, they are just going to be unkillable throughout the rest of this game. You can see how much HP Guigo, already over 4,000 total health. A very, very dangerous opponent right now.
But Fury also have to play with some respect, because while it is taking time and notably money, Bao is adapting. Bao's nearly got his completed item for a little bit of armor pen, and that honestly is going to be enough to deal significant damage to Guigo. I don't know if it kills him, because Guigo has been pretty crazy this game, especially with the ungodly amount of shielding we just saw, but it's going to be significant, and I think already Guigo is starting to feel it.
I think a Serpent's Fang would do some good here. I'm not sure. Okay, actually, Demon Tech. Here, chat, you're about to learn something, all right? Momochi needs to build a Serpent's Fang, okay? Because his passive deals damage, and it comes from Milio, which means the Serpent's Fang applies anytime you use an ability or an auto attack after receiving Milio passive. So it's actually Momochi who could build a Serpent's Fang and save his team a lot of headache, because how do you deal with this shield otherwise?
This is more from the man who sold you Imperial Mandate Leona comes Serpent's Fang Milio. And you
Look it up. It works.
Listen, I'm not hating. I am noting that there is a correlation between these unorthodox things, but crazy men aren't always crazy, Bren. Sometimes, in history, often, we call them prophets.
I saw, I can't even remember who was talking about it on Twitter, but yeah, anyone who has this passive that empowers another champion can
Nami.
do that, because so Nami, yes, with Nami E, can then apply Serpent's Fang through the Nami E. So you don't lose out on that much power. Like, yes, you're down an item, but if we're cutting down that much shield and being able to essentially give that passive to your whole team, very powerful. Peach, not in a great spot.
No, but Peach can live a long time, doesn't even feel the need to pop Crescent Guard in this situation. As long as all three bruisers are not on top of Peach, with IU behind them, Peach is going to be just fine. And what we've seen Furia run over some fights in the past, a lot of this is going to be really positioning dependent. And Furia, like getting to objectives first. It's actually a lot like it was last game, where it is all about where they are able to be at the right time and being there before Fluxu. This time, with a bit of bruisery power and the ability to set up around a Caitlyn, 20 seconds away from this next Baron. It's not impossible for Fluxu to contest by any means, but they're not at the breakpoints where it is easy yet either. Fortunately enough, Mortal Reminder gets completed, and so Bao does have, if he is able to skate through this team fight, the ability to win it for Fluxu.
Yeah, we'll see what they can get with Bao. I think notably is something he opted for the anti-heal as his last whisper item. Never mind, no time to talk about that. We got to fight immediately.
Cataclysm comes through, and Guigo zones off the entire team, giving Furia plenty of time to munch through Peach. That is a really nice public execution, though. Unfortunately for Zoffi, it does not connect onto IU, and Furia have IU now flashing forward, thinking he's got him, but Bao shuts him down, getting away just in the nick of time. Guigo flashes to shut that down, and Furia trade away their AD carry for 3 kills on Fluxu. They get the Dragon in trade, but the Baron, importantly, is denied.
They'll have the Dragon, and they'll get some mid lane pressure. I think they can look to do the Baron once they have all their members back up. Obviously, Fluxu will have them as well. The thing I wanted to note was that Bao has the anti-heal, opted for that as... My apologies. He has opted for that as his last Whisper item, but that means he loses out on that extra damage, the Giant Slayer passive on Lord Dominic's Regards. But, at least we'll be denying some of that healing. You can see here the initial engage is quite good. Look how far in Gigo is. And they're able to pick off Peach. Here comes Zoth. He finds the public execution, but only connects onto one of the tanky members. Has Toots there. Yes, it is not a full tank Galio, but the Galio, nonetheless, is still somewhat difficult to remove quickly. And are able to trade back one. And having
seen that fight, Zothvi ulted. I saw it connect onto the back line and went, really nice ult. Turns out the back line was Tuts. That's a terrible ult.
Actually, and he's actually opting for the hybrid. I do like this Galio. It doesn't seem like a damage build because it like has a tank item in there, but that tank item reduces enemy MR, so it allows you to do more damage, and he's got a % damage increase. He built he built it. He built Imperial Mandate.
Gatu got into the pit. Unfortunately, the Baron is stopped, and that's because Furia are too busy doing Fluxu. Bao out over the wall, 300 HP, once again as Guigo, flashless, chasing him down. As to whether the flash will matter, only time will tell. Guigo looking for the kill right now, has Bao dipping and diving around him, but ultimately nothing can stop this Volibear. The ace is complete, and Furia, 32 minutes into the game, have Baron and are looking to end it.
Dude, he was like the Terminator. He just kept walking at him. They kept shooting him, and it didn't matter. It didn't do any damage. Just T-1000 liquid metal tanking the bullets, walking at John Connor. And yeah, I think they're going to be able to end the game here. My goodness. Furia with a bit of a masterclass this game. Technically, this game ended slower, but it felt like a better game from Furia. It felt like they played this one better.
It was more inevitable. We were watching this, like, last game, it might have ended sooner into the match, but we were like, ooh, maybe Fluxu, ooh, they can do a thing. Everybody jump on Guigo, and maybe they can win the... This was not like that. I watched this game, and maybe it takes longer, but you're watching it for the last, 10 minutes, you're like, Fury are going to win it, and it does not look close.
Yeah, it was not a particularly close matchup. And it just come down to, I think, a mixture of things. One, obviously, I think Furia's drafting today was really, really good. Like, identifying whatever demon tech they were like, yeah, no, Volibear works here. Full tank Volibear, not even like the meta Volibear either. Like, we're going to go full tank. He's going to be impossible to kill. He's going to have infinite shielding. And we know no one on their team is going to be able to itemize Serpent's Fang particularly easily. So, yeah, we're big ups on the Volibear stocks, I guess. Like, they identified some really good things to draft, but they executed very, very well. I think especially that first game came down to, like, their comp was just a better composition, sure, but only in the margins. They had to play it super well to make it look like a better composition.
Yeah, and the fact that Furia, I think, avoided a lot of the fights that we were talking about when they were not as strong around the first items for Fluxu, around the early laning phase. It's not like Fluxu were not playing an active game. They took 3 dragons. Remember, Fluxu were playing a very good game of League of Legends, but we get into the power spikes for Furia, and the points where they're all able to sync up, which they actually made a couple mistakes on early on. You'll remember for First Blood, Tachu flagging and dragging in with no real bruiser backup support. Furia don't go, oh, I guess we lose fights. They go, oh, I guess we did that wrong. Let's wait a couple minutes. We'll try that again, and we'll get everybody in there. We see us fight in the same tribe rush where Furia just can't die. And, part of this problem does come down to Fluxu, no backline access. You draft M-Pesa and Ahri, and you're never able to touch Caitlyn. On a level, that's your bad. But on another hand, we can look at that and say, well, that's Furia's good also.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to, I do think, going into this matchup, if Fluxu wanted to win, yes, the records were the same on paper, but especially with the knowledge that now Tatu is back, it was always going to be an uphill battle. And they continue to be this team that is it hopium? Is it copium? I don't know. But I always look at Fluxu and I'm like, man, they are like a good team that's like so close to being a great team, but they're just perennially an okay team. And it makes me a little frustrated.
One of the tough things about this is what I'm about to show you. So, Bren, if this is too much, feel free to close your eyes. But Fluxu.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this solved a lot of problems across the league. It broke the quadruple tie for 4th place, and Furia look a lot better in the standings. A reminder, this league is still incredibly close, but for Fluxu, it's not looking very good. sitting in the bottom 3 easily. Pain still have yet to play a game tomorrow, so we'll see what that looks like. Because right now their game score.
They play Los.
Yeah,
It's
so,
cooked.
yeah, Pain are probably going to be joining Fluxu there and creating yet another tie, but Pain. I don't know if you're sitting there with Pain and Red with the singular win, still pretty early on in the season, and that doesn't really stop it from feeling tough. Fluxu have a long way to go, but I echo your sentiment, Bren, that I've watched the games today. Well, I cashed the games today. You all heard it. And Fluxu look good. They just don't look great.
Yeah. As we get into the wrapping up, getting ready to look forward to the final day. I mean, we have Los Grandes versus Pain, which it's one of those games that feels like a predetermined outcome, but I think everyone understands the concept of a trap game. This feels like Los Grandes' trap game, right? They've already played Leviathan, and if they're going to just randomly trip over themselves and lose to a team they absolutely should not lose to, I think it will be tomorrow. So, maybe some exhaustion from the longer slate of games this weekend, whatever you want to call it. We need to see Los Grandes play the way they're supposed to play. And I think as long as they keep their wits about them and don't completely throw it away, we're kind of expecting what the outcome is, though. But for Red Canids, they have seemed to struggle a little bit. They are a better team than I believe they play Leviathan tomorrow. But I could absolutely see this Red team failing to kind of get off the ground.
Against Lev? Sorry,
it's possible, man. I look at Red squad, and it's nothing wrong with Red, but they shoot themselves in the foot sometimes. I can't stop thinking about watching Fu rise alt into the back line and dying 4 times in a single game. So both games tomorrow feel like they should be predetermined outcomes. But what that means is that when the upset happens, it's going to be brilliant, right? You want to be there, because if Pain wins or if Leviathan wins, it's going to be a different kind of energy.
So, first of all, yes, I agree. You do, as always, want to be there for every game of CBLOL because we do get these crazy upsets. The second thing is I was thinking, I sure hope that Red Canids don't do poorly, because I picked Fu and Morteus going into this this week for my freaking CBLOL fantasy, and I need them to do well.
I might have forgotten to set my lineup and have 2 Leviathan players.
Hear me out here. I picked Guigo and Jojo this
big ups for DiA
this week. I am feeling on top of the world right now. I unfortunately did predict completely wrong champion picks, but who gets those right anyway? It's been a difficult split for everyone. I would encourage all of you to go check out CBLOL Fantasy. I'm just getting into it myself, but it is officially CBLOL and very, very fun. I would like to thank you, Bren, for joining me today. It has been a lovely day of the CBLOL, and of course, all of you at home for watching. Thank you so much. We are going to raid our friends over at the LCS and say hello to them. Feel free to speak in English or Portuguese, whatever you feel trolls them the most. As long as we don't get reported, that's all good. It's all friendly banter. We love you guys very much, and we will see you tomorrow for more CBLOL.